silence so we can get ready for the thing, because we got to start the show and go. Loving it. Welcome. Happy Thursday.
Woo! It's Thursday. You know what I noticed? It says at the beginning of the show, it says live in studio. Do we consider this the studio still? We're out of the studio? All right.
The studio is
it's an extension of the studio.
It is
out here into the bar area.
Because the things, the cables, they go into it.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Perfect. Cheers, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Hopefully you've been having a good week.
Yeah. It's nice, we haven't gotten into fully on fall yet. It feels good.
Man, that crisp morning is so good. I've been waiting for it. It's still a little hot in afternoons.
Sure.
Clinkety clink. Yes, we're ASMR. Is that what it's called? all the way.
Good to see people out there.
What's up, Disturbed?
Appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us for a while.
And Disturbed, we're going to talk about an article that you put into the Discord.
Right.
So thank you for posting. It's always fun to have everyone. Man, how was your days this week? Anything fun that cropped up? We used to talk about the fun of our weeks.
I know, right?
So
it's true. Let's see. Anything fun come up? Not really. My son is learning how to drive, and so we've been doing some driving around. I feel like he still feels very nervous. We're only maybe he's driven for maybe 3 or 4 hours, all to go. Maybe even more like 2 or 3 hours altogether. So he doesn't have much under his belt, and it's one of those things where you go out with someone and you forget that there are just parts of driving that because you've driven for so long, I am in a driving, I've been driving pretty regularly since I was 16 years old, that you just forget. You're that just becomes part of the everything that just goes with driving. And then when you're a brand new person, you're like, oh, right. You gotta remember to tell them those things or
all the things.
And so it can be very nerve wracking. I feel like I've tried to keep it together though.
Well, and for yourself as a parent, I remember when my kiddo started driving, and I felt that I was more stressed out by the damn thing. So
yes, definitely. Yeah. So that's but also fun, right? It's fun to see something new and crazy, and someone to be nervous about a thing and driving for the very first time, and then getting it and doing a good turn and accelerating out of the turn and all that good stuff. It's
it gets better. I'll say this. So I don't know if I told you this, but when my son started driving, I let him drive my truck the first time because my other car is the stick shift, and I was like, okay, this is not going to work. Yeah. I thought we were going to get him the stick shift, and I was like, you're going to learn on that. And I was like, terrible idea unless they're a car head.
Right.
And so I got him in my truck, and I was driving around, and I remember one time he was going towards, I was like, stop, and I was yelling, stop at the top of my lungs. And because he would, I meant put the thing to the
right.
Stop the dang thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, we're not driving my truck anymore. And he was like, good, because I can't see over the hood and all this.
Okay.
And so finally he got his own car.
Yep.
And he was doing pretty good. We had done some laps around the block. I was feeling comfortable because I got to be honest, I was more nervous than he was.
Sure.
So then we go to this one parking lot, and I was like, all right, we need to practice parking. And there's no cars anywhere.
Yeah,
but they had
perfect.
this curb that's in the middle between two. It's so you know how some parkings you can just drive straight through, and you can. So this one doesn't, because it has a little raised curb, and I was like, all right.
Oh,
fine.
The concrete
concrete barrier that's in between it, so you'd have to park and then have to back up to get out.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let's just try parking. No cars around. This is perfect. Went right over it and high centered is on, and he's like, what do I do? I'm like, get off of it, hit the gun, guns it off, and I was like, okay. Now I'm escalated back again to this top level. And so then I was like, he was about to drive to his school next that night, because we were practicing, because he was going to have to start going back and forth. So we go to his school, and I'm heightened.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm like, all right, that was crazy. You did that. It's okay. You're learning. Nobody was hurt. The car is fine. Yeah. And we're driving back. And then to what you were saying, these little nuances that we think about. Mm-hmm. So we're driving on the road. Way in the distance, I see it's a dead coyote, but it's in the road. And we're driving, in my head, it's like, oh yeah, you just swerve around those little things. There's no other cars. And then as we're getting closer, I'm like, holy crap.
He's not going to swerve.
Then I'm right there in the passenger, and all I hear is crunch, clunk, 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 and like a freaking carcass of a coyote or whatever it was.
Oh, man.
And I was like, dude, you don't just hit things. He's like, what, that bag? I was like, number one, that was a wolf or whatever it was. And yeah, you don't just hit it. So
yeah, we've had some things of like going down a lane where there's cars on either side, right? And either being like way too close to the cars, because he's like, well, I need to be in my lane. I shouldn't be in the middle of the road, right? I should be on my side. I was like, yeah, but you don't have to be there all the time because you're like right up against the cars. And I'm like, I'm on that side.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, but more into the middle.
Yeah. Well, it's funny how we take it for granted. And then the other thing is I realize how bad I drive. Because
sure.
The kids are like, you didn't put your indicator on right there. You just switched lanes. You're going really fast right now. I'm like, shut up, backseat driver.
Yeah. I feel like I've been getting backseat driven the entire existence of the children. So anyway, that's what I'm up to. Anything you want to anything
No,
particularly?
I mean, it's good.
Okay.
It's sporty season, so
Yeah.
being able to watch the kids
Yeah.
doing like things. Kids on tennis.
Yep.
Stealth Mouse, son in football. Like we've been
Yeah.
able to go to all these events, so it's very busy season. But it's fun. It's like fall, being out,
Yeah.
getting to be able to hang out with everyone. Fun times.
Not 100 degrees out. It's
Yeah.
nice.
I got new camping chairs because you usually take them to like the events, and so it's fun to set yourself up and like get your little place and watch everything. So
Okay.
it's been fun. So hi, Stealth Mouse. I saw you're in there.
Yeah.
She's recovering from
Stealth
being like deathly sick this week, so I feel really
Ooh,
bad. But
man.
I'm glad that you're able to join us.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a quick recovery from that.
Yeah, I
hopefully.
know. It's not been fun.
Hey, should we do a question for human?
I think we should.
Okay, this is part of the show where we go in and we answer a question for human, and we would love if you are in the chat to also answer. So this one is, if you could snap your fingers and instantly speak another language, what would it be? And I'm going to say why. Why? What would it be and why?
Let's see if this camera's working. I don't know. Oh, it's working this week.
Nice.
So
There
yeah,
we
got
go.
it.
If you could snap your fingers and instantly speak another language, what would it be? Now, I know I don't know anything about languages. But I don't know anything besides English. But you have been like diligently practicing on Spanish. Would you pick Spanish then, or so that you could be done with that, or would you pick something completely different because you're going to get to learn it for free?
Learn it for free. The snap
Yeah,
gets
it's
me
a
to
snap.
for free.
Yeah. This is a genie wish.
Ooh, man.
German, I could see that. Germany would be a fun place to visit, right?
I
could
gotta
see
go
that.
with I'm here, Dom, because Spanish, a lot of people talk it, and that's the
Right.
reason I'm trying to do it. It's like it seems like it's usable in a lot of different
Right.
ways, and that's I would pick Spanish. So yeah, my current count on days is 1,090 in this
Wow.
Duolingo.
Dang, is that what? That's
Duo-
like almost 3 years.
Yeah, it's and then even with my son, I have over like a streak where we've both done it together each day for over a year, and I know no Spanish.
What?
I mean, I know words. I can't speak it out of my head, but when I read it and when I hear it, I can do it. But I can't like formulate it in my head. That's the weirdest thing. And like I need to speak it more with others so I can start to learn it. But yeah, I think Spanish would be my pick.
Now I'm interested in how Duolingo works. You're not making a very great case for Duolingo, right? You've done it for 3 years, and you're still like.
So so I absolutely think it helps in a lot of ways because it lets me speak it. It lets you learn new words as you go through it. Where I'm just not doing is I'm not going and practicing it in speech with others. So it was interesting. My son was bringing home some documents about school, and they would do things in Spanish on one side and English on another. And I was able to read through a lot of the Spanish. I was like, yeah,
nice.
I kind of get this, and I was able to guess on some words, but it was pretty fun.
The only thing that I could see, I would probably if this was a real thing, I would probably just choose Spanish as well. But I could also see French being kind of neat because, like,
Parlez-vous français?
you know, like there are parts of Canada that you could visit, you know, that I would feel like would be cool. Like Ontario, I heard is really nice, and that's like all French speaking. Plus, then you like going to France is super fun, you know, like that could be super cool. Like, would love to do that one day and then just be able to speak.
So yours is French? I mean, it's one of the Romantic languages, right? Like French, Spanish, Italian. Those are like the main.
Never mind. I picked a new one. American Sign Language is the one that I would
That'd
pick.
be a good one.
I feel like
That's
would
not
be,
speaking though. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
thing.
it does say speak. It does say speak another
Uh-huh.
language. But if I could bend the rules a tiny bit, I would do American Sign Language. I've always wanted to learn sign language.
Man, there was a teacher that was at the school that I work, and they did a really good class on that. I mean, it is a pretty cool thing to be able to do.
Yeah.
As far as like Duolingo and stuff, I don't know if they have a sign language part, but they've been like expanding their. They have math in there. They have piano in there now. They have all these different things.
I guess it's sort of like, do you want a simple, everyday, streak-based, gamified app to learn things? If you sort of think about it in that sense, like, sure, use it for other stuff.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of setup because I've probably a good years worth of it is me just using these practice rounds and not going through the actual like incremental
Really
like building on it. But I've gotten pretty decent at pronunciation, and like I said, some people will talk to me and I'll be able to say some things, so it's been fun.
Yeah, that's good. Plus it just like keeps your brain, elastic. Okay, I have one. Do one?
Yeah, go for it.
I can do one.
Yeah.
What's the most useless skill you're proud of having?
Oh gosh,
Is there some sort of mostly worthless thing that you've learned? I can go. I learned how to juggle in elementary school.
Ooh,
I don't
you're
know
gonna
if
make some enemies here. Calling that one out.
Well, I was like, so that's one of those things where I was like, oh man, I could always juggle, which is kind of like a fun parlor trick basically to be able to do with just like different objects. If you could just like juggle 3 different objects, that can be fun. So that's pretty useless, but it was neat because the elementary school teacher, I don't know if they were some kind of like, they must have got a grant or something for doing something weird and different, but like we learned to juggle. We had unicycles in elementary school that we learned how to ride. Like they had all this like pogo sticks, like weird sort of almost circus things that I'm sure they tied into physical education in some way.
I feel like there's a lot of skills out there that don't. I'm gonna demonstrate my one skill. Are you ready for this?
Ready.
It's pretty useless. I gotta put it on this one.
Okay,
so,
great.
So I have my.
Yeah,
right.
be able to hold it in like somewhere. Oh, nice.
It's the spin.
Yeah, I love that. I cannot do that. I watched a video about it even too to try to like.
Check that out.
Good job. How long did that take to learn?
I learned that in high school.
Yeah. Well,
Just
I
sitting there.
remember it from high school. So, but not very long.
It took me a good amount of time. You have to practice it. It's about you have to know exactly where to hit it and where to hold
It's
it.
very muscle memory. It feels like
if you hold it and you tip it there, where it comes in is with these fingers. Is you're spinning that around and then you're catching it. So.
Nice.
Useless,
but also neat.
Right?
Right?
I'm thinking like, when would that be? Like,
Never.
The coolest thing is in meetings.
Oh yeah.
Where like it's a cool factor.
Totally.
You're sitting there and you're thinking about something and you're just like talking and you like flick it around.
Yeah,
and
then
people
like and then it just you're not mentioning it. You're not like
Yeah.
like it's just happening. And that's what I feel like with juggling too. Like you'll just be at a thing and like I'm walking over and I have 3 apples and I'm just like 3 apples and then I just hand you the apples or whatever. Like those are fun.
The worst part though is if I'm doing it and I'm like, sometimes I'm doing it unconsciously, but the rule is if you do it and you drop it, you got to stop right then and there.
At no point, you're done. Right? Same with juggling. All right, do you have one, Adam? Do you want to
wait? We got some chat when I can cut my hands and blow through my thumbs and make it sound like an owl. That's
love
a good
it.
one.
Yeah, I used to be able to do that. Both my kids could do it, and it kills me. I can't do it anymore. This is great for audio.
ASMR.
Nice.
It's not an owl.
I don't know how much. Maybe a certain type of owl. I don't know, but good. At least you could do it. Nice.
We're pulling out all the useless skills now.
All the useless skills.
I remember the kids that could like flip their eyelids inside out.
I hated that. I'm not. If you could do that, please don't.
What about I can't do that one, thankfully. What about the tongue tricks?
Yeah, that's like that's genetic though, right? Being able to roll your tongue in a certain way.
What about this trick? Here's another one. Are you ready for this? Are you ready?
Nice.
There you go.
That's a self-inflicted.
That's a trick. It didn't say anything about how it was self-inflicted, but it's a trick.
That's true.
Roll your eyes back in your head like dead, like the Undertaker. I love it.
Oh,
my
that's pretty
God.
good. Well, I got to see that at some point.
I
All
love
right,
it. All
you
right.
got one?
Man, I have a couple of them.
Okay, pick your favorite for tonight.
Man, some of these like they would reveal things that I don't think we would want to do. So I'm skipping a lot of those.
Too personal. That's fine. I'm not looking. I'm specifically
Okay,
like
this
not
I
looking
did
up
think
here,
about
so
this before, and I looked at. So, what's one moment from your childhood that randomly pops in your head, even if it wasn't important? It's just like something that you relive over and over. And I'll go ahead and start this time.
Great.
So, I was in middle school, and it's like so vivid. I remember this, and I was like walking down the hall, being a goofball like any middle schooler could be. And I remember like slipping and falling back, and like all these people like, oh, like as I fell, and I just have that moment of all of them like, oh, in my head, and it pops in all the time. Like I remember this one girl like being surprised, like first like kind of looking like casually like, oh my God, this kid's falling straight back, and then like some other faces that I don't remember, and it always pops in my head all the time.
That's good. That's a I feel like that isn't like super like there's an emotion sort of or a visual behind it, right? That probably like gets you to
probably
think
like
about it.
Immense embarrassment at that moment because
like lots of different ones. Like there's a visual, there's an embarrassment, right? Like you probably unique. You know, I'm sure that didn't happen all that often.
No, but a lot of time that I don't know, I think about the past and things that no one would ever give a crap about because we always think about ourselves in a sense, but not like everyone else's mistakes. There's a lot of times I'm in the car and I'm like, oh shit, fuck. And like I just say something because I remember an embarrassing moment and I'm trying to get it out of my head.
There's our 3 for tonight, Adam.
I finally got to use it.
This is a rated R show now. This is rated mature. This one. I would say one thing from my childhood that comes up a lot is like, for some reason, talk about random, like we lived at this house and we would just play around, you know, we're playing in all the different backyards and front yards. And we came up with this random game one day where we would like we would run to the front of the house, touch the house, and then run back to the very edge of where the grass was. And we would do that every time a car came by. And we would run and we would touch the house and then like we just kept adding rules to it where like you had to run and tumble and then do it, or like you had to run and then pretend to shoot them and then get back to the house. Like, and it was this whole thing of doing that. And I remember we spent like hours and hours doing it. And then like, and it was great. And it was just this moment, and we never played that again or never did like another thing, even sort of like that. We sort of played baseball and we did all the normal things. And I just remember thinking like, wow, that was a really unique moment where we were all in sync and we all wanted to do it. And it was like this weird game that we all just came up with all together in the moment and kept, you know, adding to, and everyone loved everything that we were adding to. It was like some sort of serendipitous kid play moment that like comes back in my head a lot.
I love the ingenuity and creativeness that kids can give.
Exactly.
And, you know, it reminded me of that time you and I spent a lot of time in high school, like hanging out, and then after, and we were doing some jobs and stuff. Remember the times where we would be sitting in your house and we would like have a ball, and then we'd be like, let's play catch. And then we do it for like 2 minutes and get bored. I'm like, all right, let's play catch, but let's bounce it off the ceiling, and then you have to catch it. And I remember by the end, we were like, bounce it off these things, then tap it, and then get it into this little vase or something. So we still have the vibe.
Exactly. That's true. That's absolutely, you're totally right. We did that. I remember playing, my parents had a house and they were in between houses and there was a big empty room, and we would just play like we had found a ball and we were playing handball in there for some reason, just because it was big and empty. Anyway,
we got some good chat ones. We got kicking the ball over the house to the front yard. Like that's epic as a kid. You're like, totally. I did the thing. I am amazing.
That's awesome.
We used to do a hula hoop, and what we would do is you would throw it, but if you spun it back enough, it would land on the roof, but it would spin back at you, and you'd be able to catch it, and you'd like have to, man. AI's ruined this future for us, our video games, because we had to like make crap up to ensure ourselves was great.
Yeah, that's why they unstructured play, right? Like that's what a lot of times they say kids are missing in their play nowadays is, of course, you go out and you do soccer, or you do, you know, things, but it's all very structured. You just need to be bored. Add some friction back in.
Yeah,
a little preview.
Take that as a hint. Add some friction back in, and we're gonna get into what that means soon.
Nice. Okay, those are good. I feel like those are fun.
To play superheroes all the time. You could drop the costumes. Man,
that is good.
Back in the day, man. I remember that my parents wouldn't buy me like superhero things, or they would only get one of them, and I lost the cape to my Batman, and I had to like craft my own Batman cape for it.
Yeah, how did that turn out?
It actually came out really good.
Nice.
It was good. I was proud of that.
You just brought it up to brag a little on yourself.
I had to. We talked about superheroes. I'm all in nostalgia. I just want to talk about childhood memories right now. They're flooding back into me.
It's really emotional for Adam right now. He needs a minute.
God.
He needs a minute.
We're scrapping the show. We're just talking nostalgia tonight.
We're just talking about all Adam's past.
We got to put that. We're gonna put on the 24-hour stream, nostalgia hour.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Talk about some of the things.
Totally. Yeah. Like that's a middle of the night.
He has a rub full of his toys. Oh, that's a tub. Sorry.
That's awesome.
Man, there are so many toys that are amazing. I've been trying to find a G.I. Joe. So if you have like a G.I. Joe with articulated elbows and things, I need
from the
one
past,
of those.
from like a very old one. Interesting.
Because G.I. Joe and Star Wars figurines, like that was my toy growing up.
Man, do you have any of those sweet Star Wars figurines still in their package there?
I do not. My brother did collect a bunch, and then he sold his whole collection for like $5,000. And if he would have kept his hands on it, it could probably gone for like $20,000 right now. It's ridiculous.
A down payment on a house. Mike Azul in the chat. Did you get that Lego Game Boy, Adam?
It doesn't come out until October, and I think what we're gonna do is try to do it on the 24-hour.
I think we should build it on the stream. You got that sweet camera that can look down. It probably doesn't take that long.
It's like
right?
200 parts.
200 adults.
Yeah,
we should be able to do that in like half an hour, right?
I'm still young. I'm only a freshman.
Nice. appreciate all generations showing up for the Hangout.
Heck yeah, you got to do that. You ready to get into?
Yeah, let's get into this news. There's like a ton of that
much
stuff.
News. As we go through the weeks, like Ryan and I talked about the show, we have to cull some things out of here because there's so much news that's happening.
Yeah, that's true.
But we have the typical AI kind of where things are going. And I was thinking about this before the show. Is if we always say like there's so much that happened over the next 2 weeks, but if you really look over the even the last 2 years, it's like an epic jump of things that have happened. But remember our predictions at the beginning of the year of like we were talking about legal things happening and new I feel like we predicted some of the things.
You think you were going to do pretty good? Well, tune in for that show in January or whatever, because I'll go and replay it, right? And we'll get clips from it, and we'll see how well we did.
So let's just do a quick rundown of a couple things we're gonna hit on, and then we'll jump into it. So a lot of AI and kind of the police or
new rules, new stuff around basically trying to rein in just the open wild west of AI this week.
We got your brain on AI.
Yeah.
Teaching with AI, some positives in there. We always try to kind of balance it out. We got some trust of AI and how much you trust it based off of some of your interactions with it.
Yeah.
Also some big news with Anthropic.
It's a big one. It's a one for the main show too.
And hey, Higgs. He's in chat. Yep. They're here. You missed the nostalgia kicks that we got into, but it's okay. You can watch the rerun on this guy. AI taking our jobs, but you know what? Maybe there's some new things in the future. We got There's some interesting things too. We got AR glasses that Amazon's coming out with, and if we get to it, maybe talk a little bit about robots.
We'll do a little robot talk.
All right, let's start this first one. So the first one is, and this is where it gets me because it reminded me of like Minority Report or some sort of like movie of this.
Rewatched that recently.
Is that a man was wrongly arrested by the NYPD after facial recognition software using some AI identified him as a possible match to the crime. And so essentially what happened is it identified him, even though there was all these huge physical differences.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah, there was a lot that did not look
apparently didn't look like this person at all.
And they didn't put things. I wish they would have put it online because it would have been great to like do the comparison here.
Yeah, but like I said, this guy's been through enough of being falsely accused. We don't need to show his face everywhere too.
I feel like we could use like AI to make a version of this just to show everyone what this looked like. But what they were saying is they used a lot of low quality images.
Yeah.
And so because of this, it was like, this is what we think this looks like. And when you do AI, if you put like a picture of yourself in there or somebody, you're like, hey, I want you to make this. It doesn't look like the person.
Yeah.
So I get nervous too that we're going to start trusting that this is almost like a funny story. But how far are we going to go to where you're like, AI said it was you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's you.
And imagine if it did look pretty close to you. Like this one seems pretty far apart, but sometimes it might look real close to you. So I could see. And you talked about it being trained on low quality video. I mean, a majority of cameras that are out there that are capturing these types of facial recognition stuff are not like the highest quality 4K cameras in the entire world. So, it's one of those things where this is only going to be getting worse, I imagine, as they start putting more cameras and they start relying on this technology for stuff. But man, come on, you got to check this stuff, police, right? Before you just show up at somebody's house to arrest them.
And that's the thing I was thinking about is like, do you trust it and you just go show up and arrest them? And clearly he didn't get like arrested full term, and then they were able to put a whole article about it. But what about the ones like you're saying that they don't even like, they don't do that. Like you look like the guy. There's no more lineups anymore.
Yeah.
It's the AI lineup.
Line it up for the AI.
Taking pictures. You need to like stand in this thing. You rotate 360 degrees. Yep. AI says you need to be executed. Have it happen now.
I mean, literally, this is like a lot of Minority Report. Just in a creepier sort of sci-fi.
All right.
way.
So I did. This seems kind of racist. Should we even show this?
So what was it? So Adam behind the scenes was prompting something. What were you prompting?
I said create a mugshot side by side that is a parody of this, and then I just took the basic premise of what we said. A man wrongly arrested by the NYPD after facial recognition software identified as a possible match in a crime. I don't know if we can show this, Ryan.
Yeah,
we're not showing this.
I don't think I would show that.
I don't think we're going to show this one.
And in
how could it be so racist? It's going to be worse. I think just talking about it is more impactful than showing what we're seeing right now. This is terrible.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, wow, ChatGPT made a photo like that. Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's
move on because we can't show that.
We can't show
anyway.
it, but that's like we're gonna have another.
Telling.
That's a whole nother topic to go into that they went to that direction.
I know,
so,
right?
Interesting. Very interesting.
So the next story is also about police and using AI and how that works, but sort of in a different way.
And this is the one that disturbed. Thank you so much. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know how disturbed we're going to show this one. It's really bad. I'm surprised, honestly.
Me too.
I'm super surprised.
I want to like send it to someone at OpenAI and be like, fix this.
Heck yeah. A little suspense on the show here. You got some drama going on.
Yeah.
All right. So in this case, this one was a disturbed in their Discord chat, and it was interesting because what it talked about was what ChatGPT, the conversations that are happening, can be used by law enforcement, can be used against you in court right now. Yeah. So the premise is, and did you know how this all came to be? Do you understand the backstory of this?
Is because the police were requesting this, I assume.
So there's a couple things. There's actually multiple threads of the story. First of the thing is that there was a stay that said somebody had done a crime or there was something they were researching someone, and they're like, you have to save every chat history of all time right now, ChatGPT. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
And so that now every single chat that you've put in there is saved in some capacity, and they're not purging
even
it.
if I'm doing the incognito searching, even if I have the pro version and I've said do not train your model on any of my stuff.
Yep.
Man.
And so then to your point, disturbed, is that there was the CEO is saying that law enforcement can leverage it and use it to also look at things. No, this is where it gets a little bit more okay, if somebody's doing something really bad or looking up how to build something terrible like a bomb or a biological thing, like you might say, okay, yeah, let's check into this because this is really bad. But then where's that line where they're like, yeah, but this person's doing this. Now we're going to surveil this particular person's chats.
Well, it's one of those things where if you have that all housed in one spot and you have AI that can search it and do things instantly, you got to really trust that company that they're not just going to give it to anyone for top dollar, right? Or are they going to give it to a political administration that I don't agree with, like as soon as they come into power? I mean, it's scary because our data ends up being a lot about us and can be used in so many ways for us, but also against us. And so, same with Google, right? Google has a lot of that, but I feel like this is going to be even more intensive.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It feels like, I mean, privacy's out the window. Like, I just don't feel like we have it anymore. But the whole concept behind it was that if someone was planning violence or doing something that was going to be really impactful to society, that they would be able to jump into it. And they're like, hey, it's not implying that if you're going to, like, do self-harm or suicidal thoughts. And I was like, well, why would you not? Maybe you should stop that.
Right.
But we talked about last time that they are stopping those chats, or at least it was on Claude that we're doing some of that.
So one last thing, I read Nick Bostrom's book, Super Intelligence, and he sort of at some point, I mean, book is 10 years old at this point, but like it talks about a future, and it basically says, at some point you can't really have privacy because the reason we haven't nuked each other or we haven't had chemical warfare attacks is because like to make those things in a specific way that can like do a ton of like basically weapons of mass destruction, the only people that are rich enough to make those and have the ability are like large governments. And so say it comes down, like the price keeps coming down on that kind of stuff because AI can help you with all of those things, then you say like, well, now a millionaire or a billionaire, or even then less than that, a millionaire could create some kind of novel biological weapon and be like, okay, I'm just, they could be crazy, right? Or they could be whatever. Like you could have money and be crazy. I think we found that out. And so then you're like, well, if you're not surveilling people all the time, how do you prevent that billionaire or millionaire from taking everybody out?
Well, because they're not going to do it on a public model. They're going to have their own damn model, and it's going to happen anyway.
So I think it's more like it's all surveillance, right? It's like surveilling of what are you doing online and what are you talking about and where do you live and where are we tracking you and all of that, so that if you stray outside of the normal bounds of things, we could go, ooh, that's a supervillain. It's
super dystopian because then who like tracks those out of bounds? Because maybe you have a certain feeling about something and like it's innocuous, but to others they're like, well, that doesn't fit within what we think humans should do.
Totally.
So
like,
screwed.
Is quirkiness then going to be seen as like practically terrorism?
Which honestly, as we start to go through some of this, I think that the next topics in articles we have start to talk about what it's doing to the brain as well. And we just talked earlier, like we're running around touching your house and creating all these fun games. And I feel like kids probably still do certain things like that. But as we start getting older, we're not leaning into those more creative endeavors. And this particular one was interesting, this paper.
Ooh, thanks for hanging out. I'm here, Dom.
Yep. Go get that homework done. So in this case, your brain on AI, it's what they're saying is there's a study that's been done on there on like basically the cognitive debt of using an assistant. And so what they did is some studies, and this is some research done on saying, okay, if you have a writing task and you had to write an essay, we're going to do 3 kind of groups, and we're going to start doing some testing on retention and brain activity, neural activity. And they had 3 things. So you had to write an essay only using your brain, no tools.
Yeah.
Another one, you could use a search engine to help. So just a normal search engine, not like one that's AI enabled. And then you could use an LLM as an assistant. And so they took a bunch of participants and they put them in different scenarios there. And they were saying, okay, you get to write with an LLM, as you have to do it with your own brain. And what the findings ended up coming out with is that, of course, if you write with your own brain, showed the strongest, most widespread neural activity. You really had to think to get through some of these things. You were engaged with it. It was a back and forth because you had to invent it out of your head. But as you started to go down in some of these other areas, like with the search or AI, it started to see that there wasn't as much engagement, lower activity in the brain wave bands.
Yeah.
And and then they were saying that participants who use LLMs, they felt like they had a lower ownership of their essay. They felt less connected to the work, like it just spit out. And I feel that too. It's like,
totally,
this is not something I wrote, but I can edit a little bit of it and chuck it into this email.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So the lowest level, or like the most brain level, is you just wrote it out of your own head, right? Is that kind of, or are you looking at books or something, or how are you even writing it without help?
Well, I mean, just like an essay is simple. It's like a three paragraph essay. You had to write about what your thoughts are on AI or something like that.
Okay, so that's the lowest level. I bet that an even more impactful, it's almost like the more that you put into it, the more impactful and the more it uses your brain, right? So I bet if somebody read a book and then wrote the essay, theirs would be better than somebody who like maybe went online and did it. And I bet if a person who instead went and talked with experts in the field and asked them questions and that's how they got the information, I bet it would be even more brain usage than the person who just read it out of a book, right? And I bet the person who interviewed someone and carved the pencil that like they used and made the paper that the essay was written on, they would get even more out of it and feel more ownership for it, right? So it's almost like whatever puts you more and more effort into something means your brain works more in it because it has to think of all the different ways for that to work. And, you have more, you put more effort to it so you feel more, connected to it, as opposed to me just like pooping out an AI response to whatever and sending it off to someone. I feel like a tiny bit, but if you put all that effort into it, carving your own pencil, then of course you would.
And I get where you're going with that, but if you even just took it at the face value of like an AI writing something versus you writing something itself, like you have to think about the words and how they construct together in a sentence and then how they make like a thought. Whereas in an LLM, you might be able to feed it the initial prompt and it will spit out that essay and you're kind of editing it. So it's like, it's almost thinking for you at that point. Whereas you write it, you have to think for yourself. And I think what the paper is trying to say is that over time, if we just keep using AI as like this content generator, is it going to dumb us down? Is it going to be a moment where we can't think for ourselves as deeply as we've done in the past because there's always something there? Like, is it going to be a crutch? And I felt like I've had that happen lately. Have you written, like, do you use it for emails and things like that ever?
So I have found it not to be super helpful for complex emails because I often know so much context about the thing that I'm going to be writing in that like writing the prompt is almost more painful than just writing it myself.
Sure.
But I have done things where I know about the context and I know, and it's just an email and I just brain dump into the email section and I repeat things and I don't write it in correct tense and I don't, I just sort of like onto the screen and then I go clean that up for me and make that into an email, which normally I would have sat there and been like, okay, or tried to write it from the beginning like that. So definitely I've used it in that sense. Do you think at some point we could, is being in with people and doing things like that more of a brain booster, right? Like, so say I use AI in my work and I do that. And yes, I've offloaded that part of my brain, but I'm talking with people more, or I'm going out and doing more experiences and stuff. I wonder if that just, is a different kind of critical thinking and, that leads plasticity to my brain that maybe writing and stuff, we don't need that as much anymore.
I think you're hitting on where it takes intention to do that too.
Right.
And that if I was going to write an essay and let's say I wrote it, and I was the kind of person that like embodied that. So the first thing I wrote was out of my brain, and I used a lot of neuroactivity. So, okay, great. I write what I can do out of my own head. And then the second time, I, instead of like saying, hey, write this essay for me, I'm like, help me think of like the most impactful ways to write this essay. And it was more like I wasn't having it write it for me, and I was like using it as a thought partner, and it gave me some things, and I was like, oh, those are good points. Let me think about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then I went and kind of wrote the essay back and forth. I wonder if it would have been different results. And that's where I'm getting at, is that
Yeah.
if you approach it as it's a content generator and not somebody that's like sitting on the side of you, and that's where I think we're at right now, is others are like, cool, it does all the writing for me. I chuck this in, it spits it out, and I chuck it into this email full of M dashes and a bunch of different bolds and weird capitalization, and it's done. And versus you being like, okay, that's a bunch of BS. Let me rethink about this and kind of reform it. I think there are some differences there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like it's a thing that we're just going to have to deal with for like, there's no putting this cat back in the bag, I don't think, so it's
unless we
something we're
run
gonna
out of
have to-
power.
I guess that's true. I guess we're in a lot other bigger trouble if that happens.
So we always like to be both sides if you want to think about the AI thing. So there's another thing that I thought was interesting, is that it's also helping people. So teaching empathy with AI is one of the ones that they've been doing some practice. So Stanford researchers, they created an AI chatbot called Nora. Is that Nora? Nora. And so what it does, it's helping people with autism.
Okay.
And the idea was that they need some ways to be able to identify emotions in others. And sometimes it's really hard if you kind of look in that spectrum of being able to identify like, oh, this person's mad at me, or this person's sad at me.
Yeah.
And so they developed this chatbot that simulates these everyday conversations. And then they can respond to it, and it helps them to identify tones in the message. Is this positive? Is it just like whatever, neutral?
Yeah.
Is it negative? And so I thought some of the interesting things, they had 30 participants in this study particularly. They did it some practice sessions over a couple weeks here, and they found that like 71% of the users showed improvement, more empathetic responses that was in the chatbot interactions. Interesting enough, it was only 38% in terms of like increase in human to human, but it was an increase, 38%. That's a viable amount.
Right. And when you're in real life, you're getting more than, just text, right? Like you're getting, tone of voice, and you're getting body language. And so all of that comes into you probably like miss some of that, but I do think this is great, like, because it helps you practice almost, right? Like people who have issues with that, they can go in and they can practice, they can learn in sort of a safe environment of that, and then just get better at it. They go from 36 to from 0 to 36% like of doing it. I think that's great. This is one of those things where I always go like, dang, this is the good things that AI gets used for. Like, this is where I want to, this is more of this, please.
Well, some of the pondering questions you have when you get to that. So you think about like somebody with a disorder, they're able to learn some things, and they're starting to show some progress in there. But should AI be teaching people things? Like, is that the right place to learn that from?
I guess if it's helping you, right, and you're not getting it anywhere else, like I suppose if you had like a very dedicated person who was helping you, that would probably be better, But if you don't have that,
but just think of other communication challenges and things, and I don't know, I'm on the fence about this. So like if you're really bad at talking, or you're shy, and you're like, I really need to get out of my shell and understand social awareness, and you start to talk with the AI chatbot, and it teaches you things, and maybe it goes off the rails of one way or another, or I don't know. I feel like there's something about this machine that's reflecting back like this aggregate of humanity towards you. And is it truly teaching you? Is it novel? Is it really doing things? Or is it more just like a really good facsimile of what it would be like to talk with a real human?
Well, it sort of feels like even the thing that we talked about before, which is sort of like condensing everything down into what is normal, right? And saying like, no, this is what the normal is. And in some ways you're like, well, does everyone just have to be normal? Does everyone just have to conform to the ways of knowing everyone and being in a big society together? Maybe, I don't know, but it does. You do see like the future of that. Like if you just take that to its logical conclusion, you end up with the Borg, right? Or some sort of everyone is just like gray and plain and
I feel like that's what's happening. We're getting filtered out into these just like automatons. And I saw Disturbed. He talked about Idiosynchrasy. I did watch that literally this weekend.
Nice.
There was
Idiocracy.
a moment.
Idiocracy.
Oh, did I say Idiosyncrasy?
Idiosyncrasy.
Nice. Just
That's
to
also
show
a
you
big
how
word.
much I'm an
Hey,
idiot.
No. That's idiocracy is not an actual word, but yours was.
I had not seen that show.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of it. Kathy watched it. My wife watched it, and I caught little parts of it, and I was like, "This still holds up."
But I had watched it it was funny in like TikToks or something or like
sure.
YouTube Shorts. But then I watched it for the full thing, and I was like, "My God!" It's like this is truth now. Bad.
You're like, but it has electrolytes, which plants need.
Welcome to Costco. I love you. Just the way you did like monotone, like kept saying it over and over.
So
it was
good.
so good.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Watch party. I feel like have you seen where Twitch channels will do that or like podcasts will do that?
Can we?
Where you would here's what you do. You're like you say, "Oh, here's the thing. Everybody has Netflix, right? Like we're going to watch a thing that's on Netflix and we watch it all together, and then like there's chat and there's people, we're talking over it, sort of mystery science theater.
Oh my God.
Off the cuff, and then everyone just sort of does like all right, we're all playing it on Netflix all at once, ourselves.
I love this idea. Who wants to do a watch party? We should
party.
do that during the 24-hour stream.
Yeah, I mean, because it'd
That
only
would
be
be
you could do
amazing.
like shorts even if you didn't want to do like a full 90 minute something. But that could be fun.
That reminds me of like watching Wizard of Oz and then the Pink Floyd album.
And trying to do like I think we did that at your house.
We did,
like,
and it worked.
Yeah, I feel like it worked.
I felt like it worked.
Yeah.
But I would love to do that, and I don't know, maybe
We need some
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy could
That
be
would be
fun.
a good one.
Like that could be fun to do. Yeah.
Heck yeah. All right, so
Next one, I think we're almost.
we're getting to the top of the hour.
Yeah.
We didn't even say what the main event is for the
nice.
night.
That's
It's
true.
going to be a surprise.
Now it's a surprise.
Yeah, Dark Side of the Rainbow? Yeah. Yeah. It was it's pretty epic. The way that things like went with, and I think it repeats itself twice. It always goes to that idea of, is the music just feeling like it's like connected to that?
Like humans love patterns, and so we see patterns and things.
It felt like it did though. Sure. I could swear it felt like it did. So, all right, AI trust goes down as literacy goes up. I love
AI
this one.
literacy.
AI,
right?
that's right.
Okay.
So the concept here is that as AI, as you start to like, if you just get it and you're like, oh my God, it is writing this thing. This is amazing. Like this, like
I was there at some point.
Yeah, you both were. But they're saying as you learn more about it, as you start to understand how it works behind the scenes, as you start to see its little errors and things and hallucinations, that you basically your trust goes down. You don't trust it as much. Where it's a little different because in other platforms you end up trusting it a little bit more. But this one's interesting because we're starting to find that it is not the same way as other kind of platforms that you built where you trust things as much. So you see the shortcomings. You understand that like I cannot put this out there because it's going to create some issues.
Yeah, I feel like that's such a good point about it being different than other technologies, right? Because if you know Adobe products or something and you're like, I know it really, really well, like you probably trust it to do things. I don't know what trust means in this situation necessarily. Like, do I trust Photoshop? Like, I don't know.
Trust
I guess
like what it does is going to output the right kind of thing
okay,
that you're
so
looking
in
for.
that sense, like if you know Excel really well, you're like, I know what it does, and so like I can do it. Whereas AI, you're kind of like, I feel like on the surface it seems very confident, very like it knows what it's talking about. I feel like because it portrays in that sense, we as humans are used to seeing things like that and being like, oh, somebody put some effort into doing this. They're probably not just trying to pull the wool over my eyes, just in such a confident way. And so I could see it being trustful. You would trust it in that sense. And then once you've worked with it enough, you're like, this thing is lying about all sorts of crap. And so then you start like, that's when it just becomes you can feel that sycophancy, or it just wants to tell you something. And
Yeah,
trust goes down.
One of the examples they go back to writing as an example is that, a lot of undergrads, and I would even say probably even under the undergrads, so like middle school, high schoolers, they're just like their willingness to take what AI spits out is way greater. They're just like, it got me to where I need to go.
Yeah.
And well, as we go into the future, or if we know about it, like I don't know if you're this good yet, and I'm sure you are. That
it was a little underhanded, but
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean it like in an underhanded way.
I don't know if you're as good as me, but
I didn't say me. I just said it's good. Spotting AI written stuff from like colleagues or anybody.
Yeah.
Like there's so many times like this is just a bunch of AI freaking slop.
Yeah.
God. M dash all up in this thing.
All in there. Way too detailed and complicated for the requests that I had, right? Is always a big one. You're like, no one, for what I asked for, no one would have written 2 paragraphs for this. They would have written a concise sentence about this thing, and one sentence would have been long and one short, not like coming up with a bunch of alliteration and crap in these responses. You're like, ugh, forget it.
So I feel like this is a moment I want to talk about one of my GPTs I created, if we have just a minute. So I have been developing the GPT. It's called Clear and Concise.
Okay.
And so you saw a version of it before.
I've heard about yours.
And so but I added a new thing to it.
Okay.
So before, and you know what? Just for the heck of it, I'm gonna show it on the stream.
What? Oh, secrets.
You're gonna get to see some secrets that you don't normally see from me. Is that the new thing that I added is don't default to bulleted list. Surface level falsities. Don't make things up or smart or fill crap in. M dashes. Don't use. I had to put it in there. Weak sourcing. Make sure everything's like, referenceable. Repetition. Don't recycle the same phrases and do it again. Contradictions, keep answers consistent, no flip-flopping, enforce cheerfulness. So this was my new list of things to add to it. And my prior list was like, just don't use these words. There was a banned list. Don't use jargon, be a little bit less complex.
Right.
So this has been like a gosh send for me because what it does is it like spits out things, and it doesn't do like, well, here's the bulleted list and here's everything it like gives me some paragraphs to read, and it ends up like helping me summarize and see things.
Would you be willing to put this prompt into the Discord or something
Heck
like
yeah.
that? So that
I'm gonna share
other
it with
people's. So
I will absolutely.
You want to
share
see Adam's amazing prompt for getting concise and casual writing out of ChatGPT?
I will do that.
Check us out.
I mean, it's a smaller prompt. It's one that's really helped me, but man, I feel like it sucks that I have to make a GPT to get that. It's my own constitution, right, is what I've created here.
Bless you.
All right, let's talk about a couple of these before we get into the main topic tonight. But Anthropic, $1.5 billion settlement.
With a B.
That's a B.
That's a B. What this was is they basically they got sued. They got the pants suit off of them for using authors' books without their permission.
500,000 books.
Yeah, 500,000 books. And so now they gotta. I don't know who they're paying. Are they paying authors? Are they paying? It's like
it's class action
studios or something? No,
it's all the different authors is what it's. So, how much did you research on this?
None.
So one of the things that they were saying is that they were kind of like taking it on the chin a little bit, is what we were hearing.
Anthropic is
because they're the one that's trying to
be exactly. This was
ethical.
I mean, this was one of those things where I came up and I was like, "What the heck? Anthropic is supposed to be, you were supposed to be the one." Like they were the ones with the Constitution and doing all the right things and trying to train it in the right way. But I guess they're trying to do the right thing. I mean, they just had a massive evaluation, so $1.5 billion not going to ruin the company.
I don't think so. But they did just talk about a lot of the fair use components. They're gonna because one of the things too that people were really mad at Claude about, and I don't know how much you heard about this, but the 500,000 books or whatnot, they had a big scanning thing going on.
Scanning?
Yeah. So they had books that were maybe even sometimes rare books or whatever. They were like slicing off the bind and shoving them through these scanners.
Oh yeah,
to get it into the.
Wasn't that one in the Discord chat where like it would grab each page and scan it up and then grab the next page and scan both sides.
I think that was just like a cool scanner thing. Like this one was maybe a little less technical, and what they were doing is they would literally cut off the bind so that the book was just a bunch of loose pages, and then feed it through a scanner just so they could get all the text off of it.
Right. Okay.
And then but their claim was, hey, we bought the books legitly. Like, we should be able to train off them. And they're like, but is that the right, like, so if you read a book and you went and wrote another book or talked about it on a stream, like, you're still kind of like,
I don't have to pay that author because I got some ideas from it.
But they're like, but are using it so much. And so now it's like the debate is that legal? How do you like attribute the author if you're going to do that? Should they get a little cut of it every single time some little piece of their data somehow comes out of it? I don't know.
I mean, I think no one has, or I don't know who's trying to come up with something like this, but I imagine you would need to know a lot more about what the model is thinking about, which we don't really know now. And you would have to track like where. So if I write a really popular book and I'm a really popular author and it gets fed into the AI and it gets used in lots of different responses, you would be like, great, yeah, you pay me, fraction of a penny or something like that every time it gets used. And if I'm not a popular author and it only gets used sometimes, then I get less money. But you can't see, but we don't know. We don't know where it's pulling from or anything about it really, which is scary.
Well, and that's the hard part of it. And so I think what they're saying is that this sets some precedents. And then I think it's not just about Claude now, that it's really about what are we using to train our models. And now there's maybe some repercussions for training on data that's out there. So I feel like we've extinguished probably a lot of the training data sets since we're having AI already like train itself. So we'll see how this goes as we start to create new things in the future, if we even can create things without AI as much.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, we're getting close to it. I think what we could do is we'll maybe do these two, and then we're going to call it we'll jump into it. So dead internet theory. This one, I'm into it.
Sam Altman brought this up. This is what brought this to my attention.
Yeah, you love him, and I for some reason
it's not even that I love him. It's just like he is in technology. Anything that Sam Altman says, I feel like shows up all the time.
He's all around. Well, I mean, he's in one of the top things right now. AI is a big thing.
It makes sense.
So he basically tweeted that he's believing that there might be some actual something about dead internet theory. So anybody know what dead internet theory out there is?
I kind of knew what it was, and then I read a little bit about it too.
So basically it's saying that a majority of our internet and our interactions and what we're seeing in there is just being produced by basically AIs or computers.
Right.
So if you go on a social media network, it's a bunch of slop. Like, let's just take LinkedIn.
Reddit.
Let's take LinkedIn.
Or LinkedIn, okay.
That's a great one. Like, if you go on LinkedIn, it's like, it's giving everyone these, like, you should post this little thing in AI, and people are just posting a bunch of slop. Like, who's reading it?
Yeah.
No one.
That's true.
Yeah, it's just like AI talking to AI, and we're in this like post-sharing future. Like anything that I write out there is probably going to the abyss, or maybe getting trained on some other AI, or somebody's just spitting out some AI in their posts.
Is it because there's just not is the idea that the internet is like so dispersed that we're not in all the same places, or that like AI is better at writing inflammatory things that get pushed up to the top of what people are taught? So is that
I think that's a big piece of it. And Disturbed points out in the chat here that Reddit is a good example of this.
Totally. Because it's anonymous, right? You could just make up anything, put your name there, because I guess you're saying even on LinkedIn, I know that person, I know that little person, that's my colleague or whatever, but is the thing that they're writing even, something that they care about or is in their head, or is it just slop?
Yeah, like they may have been there and they're like, oh yeah, here's a quick way to get some extra interactions and engagement and pushing it out there. Yeah. There was some work that was done where there was some AI that was looking and they were testing, and we talked about this on the show a couple shows ago, where it was looking at Reddit posts and it was trying to figure out like, what is the one that's going to get to the top the most, or what is the one that is going to cause the most ruckus, or how do I controversial
sort by most controversial.
Absolutely. But still get enough views. Can you swing someone's views with that? And
they could. Guess what? They could.
Well, and that's what sometimes you just like are in, like, you know, I hate it. I hate this about myself, but I somehow fell into the hole of YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, I was gonna say you just like traded Reddit for YouTube Shorts.
No, I still go on Tildays.
Oh, so you just added more things on top of it.
Lemmy is really good. I'm gonna say Lemmy is my number one. And then it's Slashdot, and then it's Tildays. Those are my three areas.
I feel like that's flip-flopped from where I was seeing you before. I thought Tildays was...
Tildays is great. It's just that Lemmy has a little bit more users, so there's a little bit more interaction on there.
Nice. Not a Blue Sky? Not a Blue Sky?
I do have a Blue Sky account. I just don't go on it as much. And it is in the Fediverse, so it is something that kind of gets in there. So regardless, though, in those areas, they're very kind of polarized and anti-AI a lot of the time. It's interesting. It's very anti-AI in a lot of those, because they're trying, like, we're the last bastion of real humans that are pushing things through. Yeah, so there's a lot of real good human interaction, and then not a lot of it. Nobody's trying to get to the top because you're not getting fake internet points for something. So it's been interesting to deal with that. Lemmy was supposed to be the new Reddit since their CEO was trying to go public. Yeah, you can't go public with the Fediverse though.
Is that what?
Oh, did you sign up for the Dig beta? Yeah, they're supposed to have Dig come out. But what was the new thing about Dig? I feel like there was a catch to it. They were going to come out with it, but there was an AI component or something to it. Okay. Anyways,
sure.
Long story short, big Reddit fan for a lot of years, and I'm not in Reddit at all anymore. You still on Reddit? You do some Reddit? Yeah. Man, I broke the chains and then gave it up for terrible YouTube Shorts.
I was gonna say it's not like you're still brain rotting.
That was my point, is that it is really terrible, the amount of AI slop that they chuck into those YouTube Shorts.
Yeah,
I've got it to the point where maybe I do it for 30 minutes on a day and I'm done, and I can get myself out. I'm just like, what am I doing? And then I get out and I'm done.
It's funny. Yeah, it has to work like that.
It has to.
One more?
I think we got one more, and then Ryan, we're going to talk about the show. So do you want to talk about this one? I feel like we should talk about this one. This is not AI yet, 100%, but AR glasses for Amazon drivers has been announced.
Okay.
And the concept here is that they've been developing these new AR glasses, and we've been talking about cool new tech and things that people are doing. There's Google glasses out there. The Ray-Ban had their glasses. Meta did their crazy
with Ray-Ban.
Their thing, with Ray-Ban. But they also had a different pair that were like these $10,000
pair. Dude, they didn't. I don't even think you could buy them.
You could never even buy it. And Disturbed, just to answer your question, what AI slop is in YouTube Shorts? I don't know if you were being facetious there or what, but my feed is full of freaking
because Adam's
AI
looking
crap.
at the AI stuff too, right?
It's bad.
Yeah, so it's just because AI video is short form video, right? Like you can only get like 15 seconds, and a lot of times you can do them in a vertical format, and so people just create things, do a million different prompts until you get one fun thing, and then your stuff goes viral, and
it's almost a game too, because in the YouTube Shorts I'm in, I go, because I'm a big reader. I always look at chats. I always look at comments. I'm just like into the reading side. So I always go there, and it's always somebody like, this is some AI bullshit. and so I'm always finding that, and I'm like, I thought so, because I see that too. I got tricked once, though. They had these like tsunamis that were like taking over these cities. I was like, this is terrible. This is like
who can I give money to?
I was like, what is going on with this?
These poor people.
And then I saw in the chat, they're like, this is AI slop. I was like, oh my God.
Damn
it. I got tricked. So... yeah, it's been bad. And then not only is it AI slop in like videos, but even the ad videos that they put in there. So many videos trying to get me to like get an AI girlfriend.
Yeah, well,
like it is terrible.
Yeah, that's
I'm like,
pretty bad.
hi, I'm your AI girlfriend, and they're like a goth person. I'm like, what are you doing? No,
I'm not into that.
Skip.
You until it filters it down until it gets Adam's perfect AI girlfriend, and you're like, now I can't say no.
Oh my God, it's bad though. But
Amazon AR glasses.
We got to talk about this one because I think that it's different. We've seen AR stuff fail. So they're not AI glasses. So augmented reality.
Yeah.
And
like VR, but you can see the real world
see through it
too. It's more laid on top.
The reason I brought this one up is they're coming out with it. I guess it's code name, the consumer version called Jayhawk for whatever reason. Meant to be sleeker and lighter and like not looking like the freaking AR glasses that we've had before.
Yeah.
But then they're creating this other model called Amelia. And this is why I wanted to talk about this, is that it's more rugged. And what they're trying to do is put it on their delivery drivers. Mm-hmm. How would you feel if your business, your place of business said, hey, you got to wear these AR glasses all day. It's your new thing. And they track everything you do. They're supposedly giving you navigation, delivery instructions, and other things like that. But you know they're going to be recording, putting AI, like learning on that. And they're tracking where you're at. I don't know. This seems really kind of...
When I'm taking my bathroom break, it's recording everything that I'm looking at. Perverted Amazon. No, but I think you're right. Like, it's another level of tracking employees, which that's what Amazon does, right? Like, they use big data to create things that are more efficient, more processes that are more efficient, and even sort of, user interactions that are more efficient. And so if they can get all of that data and they can run all of that data through things, they can make things more efficient. But as the day-to-day person who is wearing that, gosh, what could feel more Big Brother than that? Nothing. I feel like you could never trust your company that you work for, because they sure as hell don't trust you.
No, I don't think so. And it gets me. It's got me a little bit spooked just because we're just starting to see it really start permeating in new ways. We were talking about Google Glasses years ago, and it just seemed like goofy, but now they're really looking good. They're starting to be like added to the actual jobs more frequently. I mean, I'm excited. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I might have to give up the 3D printed glasses to get some AI glasses.
What?
So one of these days, I've been looking for the right one, and I might try some Jayhawks. We'll have to see.
You're going to try. Do the augmented reality glasses
I'm gonna do the
Amazon
Amazon Jayhawks. I'm gonna be like, "Hello, chat. Welcome to the Adam and Ryan Hangout. Today,
wonderful. That'll really help the show.
Today, we would like to talk to you about the sweet deals from Amazon.
Have you
log in today,
did you know that it is Amazon Prime Day next week?
You should check it out."
Okay, so before we jump, you should show the robot video because I'm going to use the restroom.
So I will show a fun robot video that I found with no sound so you can see some fun robot videos. We talked about robots. They're coming. They're a part of... Check out that robot. What I thought about this was how many new robots that are coming out and like the craziness that is robots in today's society. There was an article we were going to talk about. We don't have enough time, but there are so many robots that have started to crop up over these years in the last probably 2 or 3 years where we talked about it and say, hey, is robot going to take over? It's happening. We got robots doing bike tricks now, doing little flips. Look at that thing. That's amazing. Ooh, okay, that was not amazing. It fell on its damn face. And anyways, my thought is that we're at this point in time where we thought about AI like starting to crop up, all the different things that are happening. And then Ryan and I talked on a show or two about the robotic kind of movement, what's happening with robots. And so as we start to think about the future of this, I think AI and robotics are starting to have an intersection.
Oh, yeah.
But we're starting to see so many robot kind of things happening. They're in factories. They're like bipedal things with arms that create things. They're ones that stand up. There's ones on little wheels. We're going to start seeing some interesting things. I talked about wanting to even buy a robot over here.
There's that $6,000 robot that can do cartwheels or whatever.
I don't know. I'm going to put it... Never mind. I'm not going to finish that comment.
Too many people in the chat could use it against me.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what exactly Disturbed. You hit it on the head, is that I feel like we always thought like Judgment Day, if you want to think about Terminator, would just be a snap. But we're watching it. It's like, oh, here's these robots. They're starting to come out. They're internet connected. Here's this one. Here's this one. Like, and then we watch. I don't know if you saw that one video. It was posted in Discord by Laura. And there's a robot, and it like puts its arm on and like jabs someone under their legs and like almost flips them over, and they're
right.
like, "What the hell?" And it was like an accident.
Sure.
But I was like, "But clearly, a robot can hurt someone."
Yeah.
And if the wrong kind of like AI got involved in that, or it felt like one of those boxing robots like went crazy and beat someone up, I don't know.
Everything is just gonna get hacked and then added with its new kickboxing routine and just beat the hell out of everyone that's in radius.
All right, well, I'm about to stop spouting because Ryan has an amazing show for us tonight as far as our podcast. Ryan, take us away. What are we talking about tonight?
Totally. So tonight, we are going to be talking about AI and entertainment. It's sort of how is AI changing the entertainment field? And one of the big questions I have is like the entertainment field is something that I'm like really interested in, especially on how AI is going to affect that field. Because it does what our podcast wants to talk about, right? Which is like where technology and creativity come together. And, and when I say AI or the entertainment industry, we're sort of going to focus it down into like movies, television, and video games. Obviously there's board games and music and all kinds of stuff that we could talk about, but just to narrow the scope a little bit. And one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about this so much is like you don't hear about this being coming up as much in conversations or even statements or what you see online about companies using AI in entertainment field. Like I have some quotes here and some things from other companies outside of the entertainment industry, like Salesforce and SAP and Volkswagen and of course Microsoft and Google and Amazon and all of those. They have gone full throttle into AI. Like they talk about it all the time. It's in their products. Like they cannot shut up about that, and they get rewarded. Like, their stock prices go up when Microsoft announces a new thing and its stock price goes up, and Apple doesn't announce a new AI product, their stock market, goes down. It's against them. So why aren't companies, huge studio companies that do creative work, doing the same thing, right? Why don't you hear about as much stuff coming out of Disney, right? Or coming out of really big video game studios for that same way. And Volkswagen is investing $1 billion in AI by 2030. And that's just like a car company. You're like, what does even AI do for a car company? I guess it could be self-driving, but you don't hear a lot of that. Like I was looking at entertainment companies and sort of saying like, what are they saying about it? And only recently in the last like maybe 6 months is there even quotes from those companies saying anything. Like Bob Iger just in the last like month, came out and said like, hey, I think AI may be the most powerful technology that our company has ever seen, including its ability to enhance and enable customers to access, experience, and enjoy our entertainment. And even that is sort of couched in, it's going to help people discover our stuff, right? It's going to enhance the viewing experience or things like that. He doesn't talk about, we're going to be using AI to create things or use it in the creative field or write scripts or do any of that. And even Take-Two, which is a massive video game publisher, said generative AI will help us in eliminating mundane work and allowing our teams to work on a higher level, more interesting work. And one of the words that I want to highlight in that is eliminating mundane work. And I feel like we hear a lot about that, about how that, but really what does that mean? It means that they need less people to do that kind of stuff. I mean, he's sort of saying, hey, we're just not an AI is going to be doing that mundane work, whereas a lower level entry employee would have been doing that, but they're still talking about it in that way. So I guess what I want to say for this like intro to the topic is, I really wanted to explore, like, why don't we hear as much about that? Because I feel like it could be lots of reasons. It could be that the tools just haven't been good enough up to 6 months, from now. Like, maybe it just wasn't good enough, right? That's why people weren't using it. There is a ton of backlash to AI visuals that you'll see out there. Like anytime there's a board game or they use it for a poster or they use it for the opening credits for Secret Invasion, like there's a massive internet backlash to that stuff and saying we don't want that, right? And so is that the reason? There was a strike in 2023, writer's strike about that? Is that one of the reasons? Or is it even that maybe, my wife brought up a good point. Could it be copyright? Could it be that they don't feel like they can copyright AI stuff? And so they're like, we're not putting out, Disney doesn't want to put out a thing that it can't copyright, So is that one of the reasons? So I just wanted to sort of research this with my friend Adam. It's something I'm really interested in and see this is almost sort of a mystery to me that I wanted to solve. Why aren't we hearing about it? And is it getting used just sort of behind the scenes? Adam, any reactions to that intro?
100%. And I appreciate Ryan pushing me this direction. And one of the plights of our podcast here is to learn a little bit more. I think we were a little off the cuff in the past, and now we've gotten ourselves a little tuned in. And so I got to be candid and transparent that when I heard about this initially and Ryan put it out there, I was like, man, I have been devoid of any knowledge of this, and I had not been tuned into it. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't thought about it to the depth that you are. And you're a creative, Ryan. You're somebody that works in this kind of a field or very adjacent to it. And so I took it as a moment. I freaked out. I'll be honest with you, Ryan. On Discord,
I put this out and you were like, whoa, no.
I was like,
I have stuff to do this week.
I was like, I don't know if I can talk about it. But I buckled up and I did some research. I got to thank Ryan for being able to share some documentation, and I felt like I learned something. I went on a journey with this, and I have some really good insights of why this might be the case in a lot of these things. And so took some notes. I probably put a good amount of effort in here, more than I would typically do if I had something a little bit more on mind. So I'm really excited to talk about it, specifically around kind of some comparisons to new technologies in the past that have come and displaced certain things or certain jobs. I think there's something a little different about AI, enough that the gap is a little probably bigger than some of the disruptors that we've seen in the past. But I would love to talk about it, and especially from more of that pop culture-y creator film and TV lens. And so let's take it away. Right? Where are we starting out?
And love to hear from the chat if anybody has comments that they want to throw in there. So
please do. Well, and I just wanted to call out, Disturbed mentioned something. He says voice actor union just came to an agreement last month due to AI. And so I don't know how much we're going to talk about that, but if you have some insights around that, Disturbed, please let us know if there's any other insights that you have as we go.
Totally. We're going to talk about not only the Screen Actors Guild, but also the video game, voice actors guild strikes. So how I was sort of thinking about this, right, is we oftentimes talk about these type of things and kind of how did we get here, what's happening right now, and what could be in the possible not too distant future. And in some ways, this how did we get here cannot be that long. We can't go back 25 years and talk about how this is working, because just this technology is so new that that we're really only going to go back maybe 5 years, 5 to 10 years ago. What were we kind of looking at? And I think what we can sort of also set, we set this as, we're going to be talking about TV and movies and video games. But I also think we kind of need to set a thing of what are we talking about when we're talking about AI in this situation? Because we're not always talking about large language models in this sense for video effects and all the ways that we're going to talk about how it goes into video games and things. And so I had it as a machine's ability to learn from its environment to complete a given task. And I think that's kind of interesting because it has to learn from its environment. And I feel like I was using before I started to get into AI, 5, 6, 7 years ago, we were still learning about AI. I was still hearing about AI in video games the most. And you would say the enemy AI is very smart, right? We would talk about Halo had really great enemy AI. Yeah. And you would say it would learn from its area that it's in, the environment that it's in and the context that it's in. It would know to flank around you, right? Or give up at some point and run back to its own crew. And so in that sense, we had always had AI kind of in the back of our heads but if we're talking so like more about kind of like what we think of as, large language models now, I feel like a lot of what was in AI back in the day, back in the day, but like 10 years ago, this is the phase of AI in creativity that was like quirky and fun and sort of avant-garde and something that was just sort of used as like a demo of something that was fun and interesting. Like, I don't know if you remember when they used to come up with like abstract sort of painterly looking, it was almost like hallucinations or something. It would be like parts of animals or people in there. And it was sort of thought of as, wow, that could be like sort of almost fine art, right? It was sort of weird and different. People weren't thinking about it in the way of like, oh my God, it's going to take our jobs. It was kind of funny and silly.
Well, it felt like it took a lot of work, and like in to be honest, Ryan, like Halo came out way more than 5 years ago. AI wise.
That's what I'm saying. Even too is like we were talking about that in video games long ago, and they were probably using things like machine learning and stuff in TV and movies as well. But I feel like it goes back with video games.
And it took a lot of extra effort, a lot of compute. We didn't have the models that were, and there's different types of AI, of course, that we've looked at over time. Like the ones we're talking about, the ones that have like neural networks and start to almost have like a brain, so to speak, of having things work together.
It was probably like very stupid AI at that point.
Well, and I thought, Halo was a great example that you pulled out. So as we talk about kind of like where we were or how did we get here, I remember that was one of the more impactful moments in my video game history, and starting to think like things are going to change in a big way. It's because it felt like you were dropped into an unscripted world, and that these things would adjust based off of like random behaviors and things that are running around. Like they had a scope of vision, and when that vision hit a certain thing, it knew like, oh, I have these actions that I can take, or if my leader gets killed, then I should be running away screaming, or
if I'm getting shot at by a certain type of gun, if I get shot at by a sniper, I should duck behind cover, right? And if I'm getting shot by a pistol, I can maybe run forward towards them a little bit more.
So I think it was like AI in a good sense of being able to, I would hate to say make decisions, but it was able to react to certain environments and saying, based off these factors, I'm going to make this next step to do something. And so it was a little bit more, and it felt like it was hard to do.
Yeah.
It felt like you had to like individually create these AIs. I saw in the chat that we talked about Metal Gear Solid is one of the best examples of some enemy AI. And I think that over the last, decade in at least the video game space, I would have been impressed with what was coming out with some of the AIs. But to one point is that after you played it a lot, you could start to predict it, and it didn't feel as unpredictable.
Right. Yeah. You could interpret what was going to happen. I feel like, so in the last, if we're talking about 5 to 10 years ago, if we're talking about non-video game stuff, right, which is sort of, TV and movies in this sense,
right?
This is where you're seeing sort of the very beginnings of kind of like face swapping technology. There's not only doing things like changing out backgrounds a little bit, right? Yeah, like deep fake, sort of the early versions of that. Like you could see there. I mean, The Mandalorian, right, in 2019 had some things that was like Luke Skywalker, a young Luke Skywalker, entirely, AI generate or 3D generated, but with like the de-aging, process being done to it. I mean, The Irishman came out that took De Niro and made him 30 years younger. Oh, I know, right? Spoiler. Sorry, didn't mean to spoil Mandalorian season 2. I think season 2. I watched those. But yeah,
I did not, Ryan. Thanks for ruining
it. You were never gonna watch those anyway.
Probably not.
But I do think that like this is also where Netflix was trying things where they would like green light shows. Like they greenlit House of Cards because they knew the AI told them that everyone would love that show, and everyone did. Right?
What year was that?
2013.
So they use predictive kind of.
And so like that's not the AI that we sort of think of. I mean, it's sort of machine learning and things like that, right?
I think this is a good point to talk about, because AI in the way that we think about it a lot of the times is creating something, but it's also in the predictive kind of taking analytics in there and saying like, okay, if we measure this actor, this storyline, this thing, that we're going to say that it's probably going to be more apt to be successful than this one. So we're going to get more money if we make this series versus this. That's why we see Netflix like start series and kill them.
Yeah. Because it's trying, right? It's trying to do those things. And I would say, so, like a couple of those, like The Volume. Have you heard of The Volume? So that's like Disney uses this for backgrounds, and it's just a giant thing that is projected onto the background. And as they've matured with using The Volume, they use AI to like build sets inside of it. They use it to track camera movements and things like that. But I would say, like, sort of in this early version of this, kind of the artist's response at this stage is just kind of curiosity about it, in this kind of older way. But I do think this is where you start seeing painters and illustrators and animators, they start getting nervous about putting up these red flags that like, hey, how these AIs are getting trained is by just stealing our work off of the internet. And so the very sort of first kind of rumblings of this start to happen as like sort of rudimentary visual, large language models are able to like generate imagery. Even then these are some of the first people who are speaking out against it. And maybe this might be, I don't know. Did you see this tech parallels? So part of this, I'm like, me and AI are coming up with this outline and everything. And it had tech parallels compared to early CGI in the 90s, which was derided as fake or cheap. Could AI then mature to not have that sort of stigma? And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I thought that was an interesting comparison that AI came up with.
It came well. All I gotta say is that we've gone back in time, and I don't want to say like in just all of AI. It started way in the mid 2000 or not 2000, but like 1960s.
Sure.
And like AI and the concepts of that word, and then building on this as we've gone forward.
Yeah.
And so there's been versions of AI that maybe just weren't as impactful, and it was used. Let me say it this way. AI is a term that seems like it's been really adopted lately. Like everything's AI.
Sure.
So we were using it in film before, and it wasn't maybe as much of a dirty word. We were using this new like, it was almost like you could sell a film by saying that it used some like new high technology to create these. Like I always think about Marvel movies, Captain America when they de-aged and made him all skinny and whatnot.
Exactly.
And I think that was a lot of VFX work.
Sure.
But we're getting to this point right now where those are the things that we were, right?
Yeah.
We were able to say, hey, use this like little AI tool or this other kind of, and they didn't call it AI at the time, to help us navigate this, but there was a human in there kind of working it through,
and
on
a
the side of an
majority
assistant.
human, right? It was like majority human and a little bit AI and sort of machine learning and doing stuff to kind of help around the edges.
And I loved it. You said edges because it reminded me of kind of like the edge finding tool, the magnetic lasso,
right?
Like that has to use some sort of algorithm or something to understand some things, and it's an artificial intelligence that allows you to find an edge of something. So I think that the tools were harder to use. They were not as impactful at being able to create full videos or deep fakes at that time, but we were starting to see the underpinnings of some things that were starting to grow that was probably going to be where we're headed next.
Yeah, and I mean, gosh, that was not that long ago, right? Like that was we have come quite a bit of ways of they have a video they show a video of the Will Smith eating spaghetti from 2023.
Oh yeah.
And they show a Will Smith eating spaghetti AI video from 2025, and it looks like almost photorealistic of how he looks in that. So that was kind of like the early days of this, right? 5 years ago, 10 years ago, stuff like that. So where are we right now with AI and entertainment? I would say, like you said, you almost like don't hear a lot about this, right? Like you it's kind of underground, or like they're keeping it under wraps. It feels like they're definitely using some of that, and we'll talk about some examples of ways that AI gets used in entertainment, venues at this point, but like some really notable events have also happened inside of this kind of last like 5 year, even just the last couple years. And I think one of the biggest ones is the strike from writers. The writers in Hollywood went on strike, and a big part of some of their demands was that, hey, you're not just going to replace every writer with AI, right? You're not just going to replace every VFX person with an AI, model. And so they fought really hard, and they were on strike for I don't even know how long. But it was one of those things where that was a real turning point where they saw that coming and did something about it and really tried to step in. And I wonder if that isn't one of the main reasons that we don't see it infiltrating inside of this entertainment industry as much as we might in other ones, right? Because there are plenty of other creative industries that are getting taken over by AI, but don't have the same sort of, you don't hear about it as much, like the backlash to it and the union things of it. Like, where's the technical writers, AI union that is fighting back against this? You don't see that as much.
Well, and I think that's a good point, and I think that we're in an interesting space right now, because there was a really, like, you need a certain amount of creative energy to like produce videos or movies or films or video games, and we're seeing that if you don't spend a lot of time or effort, so to speak, with like building that, you may not attract the audiences that you would expect to attract. And like so I think there's like something specific about the film and TV that people are like, well, I could do that myself. Why am I going to spend $15 my hard-earned money to go watch this film now when you guys didn't spend the damn time to like make it amazing?
Yeah. No, and I think part of that, like, when you talk about the artist's kind of reaction to AI at this point, at this phase of it, I feel like they are really fighting back hard, in the sense that, like, if AI is writing your emails at work, like, who gives a shit about that? That's just making life easier. If I don't have to write emails at work, like, great. Like, there's no heart. There's no love in that. It's not like a passionate thing that we're doing. And so if AI can, if AI can handle HR stuff or something, and some HR people lose their job, I feel like people are kind of like, those HR people probably didn't want to do that anyway. But like, I feel like when you talk about film and television and creative works like that, like painting and illustration and all of those, we're kind of like, man, one of the reasons that we really enjoy those things is because of like the heart and the effort behind it. And, artists are going through the thing of saying like, well, AI doesn't have any of that. And so right now it can feel very soulless, to build something completely with AI. And we'll talk about some of the stories of like things that are happening right now with AI. But I think their biggest criticism at this point is that, like, one, it hasn't matured to enough to where it looks amazing and does things in the way of a great artist would, in certain, at least in moving images. But like what it does do is it pumps out a lot of slop, like you said, that ends up on YouTube short videos for 15 seconds. And they want to make sure that like that isn't just what AI art ends up. And yeah, so it's really at a crossroads, I feel like, at this point, and so different from lots of other organizations.
I do think that, and I was thinking about, as you talked about that, around a comment from Ben Affleck, and did you remember that one?
I did, yeah.
And so one of the things that he had been saying is that, are we threatened by it? What are we doing with it? He's like, AI is a craftsman. It's something that can continually spit out the things that it knows over and over and over. And where you're creative, you're innovative, your ability to like do is knowing when to stop. It's knowing when to, you found that quirky, interesting moment that you're going to resonate with other humans at. And right now, AI doesn't have that. You don't have these these things that you can kind of spin off and say, oh, this is working, let's keep running with this. It's that AI is a little bit too much on rails, and it's going to be delivering this like crafted experience that it's a little bit more predictable, and over and over and over you're going to get that space of it. And so I think in a filmmaking or in TVs or video games, some of the things that we're starting to see right now is that there's still not enough with AI to make that decision, to make it still human feeling, that's something that you connect with on a passionate level, that you say like, man, somebody like really thought that through and it really connects with me. It feels soulless in certain cases, or an inability to connect with it, or even not like hit the vision that somebody has in mind. So like one of the things that I had been thinking about, a note that I'd written is around what is it like to be a creator? And it's kind of interesting. I'd watched man, I'm gonna blank on their name right now, but there's a videography VFX YouTube channel out there, and they kind of broke down this concept of what makes something like bad good. So something can be really, really bad,
right?
But it's so bad that it actually becomes good, because it's like kind of like a cheap meme or really bad kind of things. But then there's something called like just bad, and that's like the in between. It's almost where you spend enough time that it looks decent, but it's still bad because you didn't put the effort in. You didn't put the extra kind of pizzazz in it to take it past that, like, it's serviceable and it's good. And then there's like the good. That's where you spend a lot of time. You start to think about it a lot more. And what artists usually talk about is like a trench, that bad is in the middle. And what I'm getting at here is I feel that AI right now gets us into this bad zone. So you could go use some sort of Sora video, for instance, and get that shot that like just nails that little piece of it, but it doesn't have the heart. It doesn't have the just that right amount of creativity and elements that are going to take you beyond that next space, and be something that, like, man, that really like impacted me when I saw that Jeep crash into that building over there. That looked like AI versus, wow, that one looked like somebody really got hurt, and now there's something there. Yeah,
well, and like that is a lot in movies right now with VFX, right? Like you can tell when everybody just crashes the Jeep using a fake little computer, CGI version of the Jeep, and now it's on fire, right? But then, like, I feel like it really comes off really well, and you're like, no, we really took a Jeep and we threw it off a thing and it exploded and it's on fire. Like, we as humans appreciate the work that went into the seeing an actual thing. I feel like the way that you were talking about YouTube short videos, where you're like, it's almost they're just there right now to like trick you into thinking that they're real. Because if they were real, then they would be impressive, So like Adam was saying, like, oh, he got tricked by, like a tidal wave video or something like that, right? It's because, like, if that was real, you'd be like, holy crap, like that's a real thing, and I got to be like concerned about that, and like that's a real something. And if it's just sort of AI or even visual effects, you're like, whatever. Like that it has no heart, it has no feeling. Like if it's not, if it didn't happen in real life, like it just sort of doesn't. Now, do I think that maybe going forward in the future, like generations who grew up with this technology and stuff, they might not care, and the technology might just get better, past that. But we'll talk about that in the future section of this. But I will say, like, for this, like what is happening right now in AI and entertainment, I mean, I feel like just the tools have gotten so much better. Like we have talked about Google VO3, which is can take images and animate them or create them into short videos. You can just create short videos out of prompts. All of that stuff is getting way more realistic and even harder. It's tricking my friend Adam on YouTube shorts, so please stop making them. It's making him look like a fool. No, I'm kidding. But like other things like Genie 3, Google's Genie 3, where it's like creating an entire world that you're walking around in, is just, all of that has gotten way better. Runway for Game Worlds does sort of the same thing. And then even like creating 3D assets from text prompts so that you can like fill up a alleyway in a video game full of bottles and cans and, floating papers and garbage bins and all of that kind of stuff. Like we can do that with text prompts now. And So I think like this is also where artists in this era of the AI and entertainment are really saying like, oh man, one, you're taking away jobs, and just like in every other industry, you're taking away sort of the low, the entry level jobs. Because in a video game company, an entry level job would be creating that sort of detritus that's in the background, right? It's like the cans and the chairs and modeling those and sort of learning about the studio and how things work in the studio and doing that lower level stuff. And then you would eventually graduate, after a while, then you would be building levels, or you would be creating more complicated or cinematography things. And now a lot of those are going away, and you don't even need any of that anymore. And that's like right now, that's not like a future thing that is happening. And in just like a lot of these industries across the world, those entry level jobs are going away. So in some ways, the entertainment industry, a lot like other industries in that sense, no different than the Salesforce jobs that are going away, right? Or the Amazon jobs that are going away that are early, lower level things of that. So in some ways, similar.
Well, and I think there's the concept of the jobs going away, but it doesn't necessarily fix the challenge of what we're trying to say here. And I want to go to something that the chat had mentioned. Is Mike Azul had mentioned humans are messy and they pull from personal experiences or pain to create meaning. And so while we're replacing some of the things that you mentioned, that mundane work or those and are we creating enough of that connection with the human kind of condition, so to speak, to develop these things? And so the original kind of plight of our discussion was, why is film and TV not talking about it as much?
Yeah.
And it's because it's so maybe embedded with these connections that we make with humans, is that that human ability to create, innovate, and do things in a film or a movie or a video game is still irreplaceable with AI. And AI is still just a tool that can kind of take some of that stuff away. But at the end of the day, we still have to be able to make some of those decisions to kind of make it work. One of the interesting things that I'd heard about as jobs that maybe is a little different than just the actual video itself or the replacement of things is one was interesting in the industry now is that you used to have a film crew that would go out. Right.
Yep.
And so one of the examples that I'd heard about replacement is that you'd have to take a jig out, and that jig would you'd have to usually have somebody running it down a track, and they would see this cool track shot, and you'd get your thing done. And they still do the track shot, but what it's doing now is you're having one guy go out instead of 5 to set it up, because one guy can set it up, then he programs it to do the movement. And now 4 other people are at a job because they typically would have used 5 people to set up this thing. So it's replacing these, and you could make the case that's maybe a mundane job or something that's very
entry level.
So now instead of having to have the jig and have it set up, you have one guy that does it and he programs it and uses AI to do it. And so there's it's almost a little bit more invisible in those cases as to where and so that doesn't sound great to say, hey, we made this movie and we didn't have to use all these people to do it.
Right. It's it's cheaper, right? You can make them
still $15 for the ticket to the movie.
That's I mean, I feel like part of this is going the way of video games. Like we'll be getting into we should jump into sort of the future of this at some point. But I think a good, segue into that could be, video games have been doing this for a while. There are amazingly popular and awesome games that are built by one person, you know, and you don't see that in TV and film. There is no live action TV show that is done by one person. How could there be, right? You have to have a giant crew to do something. Even if you're directing and acting in it, someone had to hold the camera, someone had to edit it together. So you don't see that. It just takes so many more people to do things in real life. And that's where I feel like we're starting to move towards that smaller model of more people could make things, it doesn't need to be greenlit by Activision for a video game to come out and be popular. It just needs to be really good and come out on Steam and be, one person studio could make it. I think in this sort of new world that we're coming up into, all of these tools are going to be so democratized to everyone that you could have a one person animation studio, right? Or you could have a one person film studio, and that person just has an amazing idea. It has the AI that they can use right now, and they could go in and sort of make an amazing video that like Netflix buys from them because it showed up at the Cannes Film Festival or whatever, because it was so good and used so many of these things, and it was done by one person. I think that's what you will start to see in the future. I would say, like, for just finishing up right now, like, a lot of this is being done quietly in the background because they don't want to get a big thing. Stuff has come out like I said, that Secret Invasion, intro, where it was all done by AI and it got totally dragged. Like basically everything that is AI is getting dragged. And so places don't want to say anything about it, but even just in the last week, this is one of the stories that we mentioned of, even just in the last week, is OpenAI is backing a film and animation company who is doing a film called Critters with a Z. And and they're gonna do a full animated movie that they say is going to cost $30 million, which is a heck of a lot less than other big Pixar or Disney animated movies. And they're going to do it with a bunch of AI stuff, and they want to premiere it at some kind of big film festival. We'll see how good it is, if it gets to do that. But that is one of those ways where they're like, hey, we're trying this out, and we're going to see if we can do this in real life. And I bet this will get the most. I think we had a discussion or a comment in the Discord about this topic, is like, this movie is going to have the most scrutiny on it by all artists of all time, to say like they're going to be looking at every animation, every single choice of everything, and just tearing it apart.
I feel like, well, and I think that goes into to a comment I had been thinking, something I'd written down earlier, and the idea of what we're talking about right now. I think you hit it on a little bit. Like if you're maybe working in HR, or you're doing a media, like some email that you're responding to a colleague, like it's kind of one-to-one or one to maybe like a handful of people.
Yeah.
Creativity is a different space. And what I think we're trying to say is like, it's important to maintain it. How do we leverage just more AI towards those menial, more mundane kind of tasks, and then reserve the amount of time for that human ingenuity, innovation, that creativity, because there's something special that cannot be recreated with AI in that.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's not there's a meaningful stopping of showing all the AI that's working into that. There's no true replacement for the creativity that's out there. That we hear that there's a lot of kickback or a lot of issues when you say there's AI. We're going to use it as a tool because we know that it can replace some things. It can drive down the cost of some of the work that we're doing, but we absolutely know it cannot replace the creativity that's out there. And I feel like that might be where part of it's at, is that I don't want to watch Critters.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Right.
I'm just saying, like, it sounds
Totally.
like it sounds terrible.
Did you watch the original video that was done like a few years ago that they put out?
Of Critters?
Yeah. Because this is an idea that a guy at OpenAI, one of their somethings, like has had for a while. And he basically took a bunch of still images and sort of had them animated. And this was a couple of years ago, and they put out a trailer, and it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And so they got to do a hell of a lot better than that if they're going to win people over.
I remember watching like so much on how animations have been made, and like they scrutinize like per frame,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like, the eyelid and the way the neck is cocked is not 100% like, and then you have to make these meaningful decisions. Did you want to like have this play for a second?
Sure.
As we do. I think we have a video to give some context as to what we're talking about. So as we continue through this next session, this will kind of help you see what we're talking about, what's being currently used in film and whatnot. So what you'll see on the screen is We have some shots from Indiana Jones, for example.
Right, which is like de-aging. Like they're mostly talking about at this point just sort of being able to de-age people and how it uses. See, like all those, they're showing like a bunch of different clips of, you know, you get a bunch of shots of Robert De Niro. You know, you add those to a thing, and then you can be like, great, now map that younger face onto him, which is just kind of how AI is like really getting used right now in the industry, which is not writing entire new scripts or creating, you know, movies from scratch or just from text prompts. But I would say right now it's still sort of a tool, right? It's a tool in an artist's box, same as it's a tool for us when we're writing emails, right? Or everyone, it's why I think this is interesting from an artist point of view, is I feel like artists have jumped in really early on the thing and said, we know where this is going and we know this is going to take jobs away. And they have a big enough union that they could do things like this and do a strike and get this kind of concessions around it. Whereas maybe just other places don't have that kind of bargaining power. But you know, we put this in the Discord, this video, and I think it's worth watching because you can really see like how a lot of these visuals get created with AI.
And I think it also demystifies, like, it's not just like fully taking an entire scene. Like, you had to go in, do some videography to get some information here. Shoot
still everything. Shoot Harrison Ford getting interrogated in a chair, right? But then the AI is sort of helping you change his face a little bit so that he looks younger.
And so as we start to go into some of these things, I think it's important to talk about, and we did talk about it. There was some strikes that have gone on recently in terms of like the writing strike, but there's like the video game industry has had some protections about like voice likenesses and things like this. And so this to me starts to get me a little bit more in that perspective of like, if you have can you have an actor anymore that is truly that A-list actor,
right?
That will ever exist. And I don't know. And the reason why I say that is that if you can train on someone and then de-age them or even put them into a film, I think this is where we're starting to get to more of the questionable tactics of it. So if you get and this is what I was learning, is if you took that was a great example of the spaghetti eating. So we just watched Will Smith eat spaghetti like terribly and then amazingly.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But I guess what I'm getting at is that there are some other ethical discussions here. And let me give you an example. There was an extra that had showed up, and they had to do some shots. And the first day, like, oh, we got to scan you up because we got to make sure that we have, you know, a virtual piece of you. So they show up the first day, they get their scan, they get not called back as often, and before long they're never called back. And they start seeing themselves in main clips,
right.
In clips in the background. They ended up seeing themselves in an actual made talking spot.
Yeah.
And they never got any money for that. They never got any. And now it's part of the films, and they have their likeness out there. So I think that's where it starts to get to me to be a little bit more of an ethical discussion, a moralistic discussion of the now.
And Disturbed Shifty brought up in the chat, like, using people's voices. Like, James Earl Jones's estate said that it was fine for them to use James Earl Jones's voice, an AI version of that, to do Darth Vader in Fortnite. And you come up to Darth Vader and he would talk to you, and it was in James Earl Jones's voice. And then Fortnite got sued by SAG-AFTRA because they were like, hey, just because you got that from James Earl Jones's estate, that doesn't mean that, like, that would have been a job that would have went to an actor. You know? Like, if you wanted that thing, then you should have come to a person who does a voice acting that sounds like James Earl Jones, if that's what you wanted. But, like, you went around that whole thing, and instead of doing that, you just went to one person that wants to make money off of that and be like, great, we'll just use James Earl Jones's voice whenever we want it now. So I feel like all of those are going to be weird, like ethical things and like lawyer stuff, that is going to come up for the future of these kind of things. I don't want to drag out the future stuff too long, because who knows, right? What could go into the future of these types of things. Do you think, like, we've talked a little bit about what sort of the future of this, like, I think it's going to be just, like more single people are going to be able to have the tools to do this kind of stuff. Do you see, like, when you think about the future of what AI in the entertainment industry is, do you think it's the same as every other industry, which is more people losing their jobs around it, and more democratized ways of everyone being able to create stuff? Like, what's your sort of opinion in the maybe sort of next 5 years?
No, I appreciate that, and I do have some takes on this, and this is probably where I started getting into some really interesting perspectives on what the future looks like. So I'm gonna take the video off at this point. I think we got some good insights, and what we got to see is some of the different changes and things that the people are using. I like the rapid prototyping, the ability to use storyboards. So like maybe the short term future, we see it continue to be used as a tool.
Yeah.
So it's good enough that we can get some quick insights. We might be able to say, hey, this film is gonna make box office if you do that based off all this criteria. It's going to help find the right actors for it. It's going to be able to like reduce the amount of effort that you do on like basic shots, and you're going to be focused on the more bigger strategy of the movie and what you're going to get through.
Yep.
I have a much darker thought of what the future of this is going to look like.
Okay.
And so what I would say is, if you think about where we were at, let's just take a little bit of a history lesson. Go back to 2000, right? This is where the internet hadn't really taken off yet, right? It was still out there, but were people doing YouTube? YouTube wasn't even invented yet, right?
Nope.
So you and I would go and watch the same TV shows at the same time. Mm-hmm. We had a shared experience at that point. But what happened is once YouTube started, once the democratization of media started to happen, what Ryan watched was different than Adam watched. And maybe we shared a little bit of that. But now we started to cater to the things that we liked and the things that we wanted to see. Mm-hmm. So if you see where we're at with Sora or VO or any of the applications that can create video, I think we're starting to get to a future where we're going to start seeing customized videos based off what we give a crap about.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example of even myself. I like 90s kind of rock and grunge and alternative, and the 90s are done. They're over.
Right.
And for my point, I was like, you know what? There's only so much of these bands that I can like. And then recently when Suno came out, I was like, hells yeah, I'm going to make that sweet Nirvana soundtrack that never was made, but some version of it that I like that's going to continue to go forward. And so I think the same's going to start to happen for film. So for instance, and I like the concept, there was a video that Ryan posted about this where let's say you're really invested with the whole series of Friends.
Yeah.
Right? So now you love the Friends show, you watched all the videos that were produced. Well, wouldn't it be crazy if you subscribed to the Friends AI? And what you did is you got to be able to like pitch different episodes that you wanted to see, and then you could watch those episodes in real time, like a pick your own adventure. And you might have like a crowdsourced version that versions would go up and like, oh yeah, this is exactly what happened with, Joey and Chandler in this episode. That's really fun. And now we've extended it and we've democratized the ability to make things and watch things, and we're going to be so fractured that even movies won't even be something that we can watch as a holistic experience anymore, because it's going to be a fractured little piece, and you get to say like, all right, that part where this character dies, I don't want that to happen anymore.
Yeah, like that's a downer. That's a downer, and I'm feeling down right now, so I need something to lift me up for that ending.
And then you take a whole nother path on it. Like somebody says, hey, that side character in this, I want their story. And I want their whole backstory. And here's some details about it. And then now you're watching a story about somebody that was never necessarily intended to be part of it. So what I guess I'm getting at is I start to see the future if we get to the point where you're not subscribing, you're subscribing to the Netflix AI, that you're able to drum up a whole movie or some sort of episodic, even television series based off some initial prompts and some grounding in a concept that you're building out there.
Yeah. I mean, we've been saying it for years, right? It's custom everything.
Oh,
Custom
yeah.
everything is where AI takes us in the future. And you're 100% right. You know, we were talking about last episode when we did, or 2 episodes ago, I think at this point, like we were doing the debate, or not the debate, the pitching of the AI company. And mine was like, it talked about the agent to agent future.
Right.
And I feel like what that will happen is you will have an agent that knows all about you, knows everything, knows your likes, knows what the things that you click on, the things that really entertain you, you know, all the video games that you play, all of that kind of stuff. And it will interact with the Netflix AI agent. And the agent in Netflix AI will be like, great, I'll spin up some stuff. What do you want to give me? What do you want to give me about Ryan? And of course, my agent will know, don't give him Ryan's like kinks, you know, or don't give him Ryan's anything like personal, like just sort of give him the kind of high level stuff that Ryan likes about when he likes to sit down and watch Netflix for an hour or whatever. Or, you know, when he's with the family, here's what the whole family likes, you know? So make them some family movies for Friday night, you know, pizza night and stuff. And you're right. We will have, I'll be like, yeah, check out this, you know, one, and it won't appeal to you, right? Because it's very much directed towards my background, my personal tastes and everything. And why would I ever go see a movie that isn't generated towards my personal taste? Like that would be such a, it would be like wearing a random pair of clothes that I didn't get to pick out and don't know the size of. Like, no, I want the one that like I like and that it has the nice feel, that it fits me.
And it personalizes it.
And
like you're in
right.
it. Your
Yeah, that's
family's
true.
in
I
it
could
now.
be in it. Yeah, we could be in the background. We could be the main characters, you know, any of that. Wow.
And I think that, you know, there might be some time where there's people are going to push back at that and they're not going to feel like they're getting these experiences that are unique enough that they're learning from it. But to your, you know, point is like, as you start to grow with that and that just becomes the reality that you have.
Yeah. I don't think you ever go back.
That's what entertainment's going to be.
And it sucks because you know what that does? That eliminates a bunch of things, right? Because I listen to a few different like movie and TV podcasts. I listen to video game podcasts, right? And what makes those interesting is that they can talk about the new Zelda game that came out or the second season of Peacemaker, you know, that just came out on HBO. And I can relate to it and I can hear it and I can laugh along because we're all sort of have the same thing. If I'm doing something completely different than what they are, like, how could they ever talk about something, you know, like, we just wouldn't be able to talk about the same things. So in that sense, like you lose a lot of that going over to neighbor's house and being like, oh man, did you see the last Game of Thrones or whatever? Like, and having those sort of shared moments. And it's why I think in the future, we're going to need to manufacture and be intentional about shared moments, probably more in real life because our media is going to be so diversified.
And I think that that's going to be the post-fact future. You know, like, how are we going to trust anything when we're to the point where anything it spins up, it's just going to completely push us down this path of like, well, that's what I like, and this is what I see, and this is all I care about. And like news, and like, it's almost like going to be propaganda in certain cases.
Hey,
How do you trust any of it?
Like that's where we're at right now. Like it gets photorealistic enough that you go, hey, was the president's speech that he gave, was that AI or was that real? Like, you don't know at this point, right? Like these tools have gotten good enough and they're only going to get better, right? To fake that kind of stuff. And then you go, I don't know. I don't know what I can trust. And also, if it's so custom to me, I stop caring about that at some point. You know, like maybe I care about sort of news world, but like when it comes to entertainment, which is what we're talking about here, right? Like I want things to be more custom to me. It seems ridiculous. Why wouldn't you? But I feel like you lose a lot.
And, you know, I don't know how far in the future we're here. There's
sure.
Capitalism.
We're trying to do 5. You know, we're trying to do 5 years. But.
So I think that we're gonna start to see a little bit more of the customizations come in, and it might be novel that you can say, hey, you're gonna go and watch this new episodic series on Netflix, and guess what? If you upload your 3D model of yourself. You can be the special guest star that's part of the show. Just make sure you read these 3 paragraphs and upload this, and you're going to be in it. And I think that's where they starts to get into it. It's been a while since we've been gone down the philosophical rabbit hole, Ryan, and I feel like I should
throw a rabbit hole for anyone who hasn't. We got some new chat animated gifs.
I'm gonna go down it and say that. Think about it like this: we always made fun of the Wall-E kind of future. Like, that's why they're so enamored with it, because it's so customized to them that we're going to be watching these experiences that are based off of what is going to keep our attention and engagement in it. And so we're going to be so stuck in this as we go into the future that's going to be hard to pull away. And so I imagine it that we're sitting in like a dirty room that has like your toilet right off to the side, and you're like, maybe you're even on a catheter, and like you're getting your food tube that's shoving that in there because you're living in watching this AI, or you have these AR glasses or VR glasses, and you're living in this new reality that can be spun up based off what you want to see. Now that's an extreme version of it, but I see that like that has a very realistic possibility for a lot of people that say, I can't actually be the rich person that does this life, but if I spend this a little bit amount, I can definitely live in that world for more of my life than not.
No, it's absolutely true. And I feel like how this rabbit hole always sort of ends for me is like, you got to have your own AI that's looking out for you. Like, if all you're doing is accepting what Netflix and what YouTube and what TikTok is giving you, and you just sort of lend yourself over to that, you could spend you could do it right now, right? You could spend all your free time, 100% of your free time, sort of absorbing content that is very directed towards you. I mean, that is the reality that we are living in right this moment. Right. And we're only going to get more custom stuff, and we're only going to get more addictive entertainment that is built specifically to trigger those things in my head. So it's almost like what you need is that AI on your side that's saying like, whoa, yeah, I'm totally going to give you those types of things. We're going to leak them in. But you know what I'm also going to give you is things about like going out and doing things in real life and how important those things are. I'm going to keep reminding you about those things. Remember when you said you were going to volunteer? I signed you up for a thing for this Friday. You in or you out, like that type of thing. And so it sort of like hopefully pushes you in the direction of good, right? As opposed to just the direction of Wall-E.
Like, please put a volunteer episode of Friends for me so that I'm in there helping volunteer.
Yeah, right. And it like triggers my brain, and I go, okay, well now I'm over that.
I did the thing.
I did the thing. Yeah. You're like, no, you didn't. You just watched yourself do it in an episode of Friends.
So that's what I'm afraid of, is that we're going to get so sucked into this. And like, even myself, I feel like I've really tried not to be looking at my phone 24/7, and I still feel like I'm always looking at it. And I think that is an indicator to me that we're kind of screwed in terms of our society, because it's so easy to get those dopamine hits for a lot of us, and like mindlessly hitting our phones to do with the video game or watch the show and be in that environment and escape reality. Yeah. And so I'm glad we're on the future discussion, because I think we're really kind of going in a broad kind of strokes here. But if you start to look at where we've been and where we could potentially be, because even let's go back to the Will Smith spaghetti. We laughed at it like a year or two ago, and now we're like, that's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Is that just a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti? It totally
pretty good. And before long, we'll be in feeding tubes and making sure we're creating power for all the different sentinels.
In 5 years, it's going to be, or in a couple of years, it's going to be Will Smith eating spaghetti with me right behind him and being like, yeah, and then me and Will Smith hanging out and making spaghetti together, and all of that is just going to be custom me with Will Smith, if that's what I wanted.
Yeah, I think it's going to, and if we really grounded it in some like realism of those future pieces, is that I do see that maybe let's say like in the next year or two, we're going to start seeing AI being somewhat used and integrated in some of the script writing a little bit more. Yep. I'm not 100% sure what the outcomes were on some of the recent ones that Disturbed was talking about, But I think that it's going to be inescapable to use AI. We're just going to have to be really careful. And there's going to be a lot of more focus on, all right, we don't want to mess with any copyright. So if you use AI, you can only use special Hollywood AI or whatever this is. That's like 100%. This is going to be clean, not anything that's going to get us in trouble. And it's going to allow you to do your work. We're not going to fire you, writers. And we know that this is helpful for you to move it forward. And guess what? We're going to train it on all of the old scripts that we had out there that did some of that work. And I also think that we're going to see some people get screwed. Somebody's going to send in a treatment and they're going to be like, hey, I want to do this new cool cop drama. And then they're not going to hear anything. And then there's going to be some sort of like quasi-close cop drama that comes up because it got fed into.
I mean, that probably happens right now, right? 100%. People turn in scripts and then a close facsimile.
I think that we're going to have to like copyright those scripts in certain ways, or even those treatments in a way that like you have a little bit of a marking on it as we go forward. But one thing we didn't talk about is some of the video games that we talked about at the beginning. Is that I do think there's going to be more interaction with video games, a little bit more generated environments, maybe not full like procedurally generated, but maybe like weather environments that start to get really in depth, and you see some things off in the distance, and then some of the NPCs would have conversations with, but not the full generation of the game yet. And I'm talking 3 to 5-ish years. Like I think that I might be wrong on that.
It might be next year.
Might be literally next year. But I do think that we're going to see more and more of these, and it's going to be like subscriptions.
Yeah,
you have to subscribe to this video game now because it needs the right amount of money.
I 100%. So I had one sort of video game future thing for the next few years, and you nailed it. Which I think is that we're going to get AI incorporated into non-playable characters, NPCs in games, and if you play the next Dragon Age, or you play the next Skyrim, you're going to get the normal version, which is just like if you keep going and talking to the vendor, he just kind of says the same thing sort of over and over again. But if you pay the $5 a month for the 3 months that you start playing it, now everything is built in with AI. So every time you go and talk to him, it's slightly different. He slightly, he comments on things that you're wearing. He comments about the world that you're around in. I feel like it's all the versions that I've seen right now seem really rudimentary and cheesy, and I don't want them. But like, that's what I thought about Will Smith eating spaghetti, right? And now it looks amazing. And so I'm thinking in the next few years, that stuff's going to get really built into things. And then if you play a game and it doesn't have that, you're going to feel like, oh, this feels old. They just keep repeating the same lines over and over again. Like that,
or old and maybe not even personalized. Like I could see that you pre-feed it like the experience. Like, oh, you like it really difficult, or I want it really violent or not, or like more story-esque, and then it helps feed the grounding for the characters.
Like even the hardness of how hard are the AI, right? They already do that kind of stuff. Like I just want it in story mode. I don't even care about how hard the enemies are, but they could even at that point just sort of like lead you through it and barely give you any combat if that's what you want.
Well, and so I see that, it's gonna create some really interesting media that we're gonna be interacting with. And so I think like interaction is a piece of it. I'd say a second thing that we'll see is we're going to see job loss in certain older methods, but then job gains in newer things. And that's a thing that we've seen with all technology as we go throughout the ages, is that, some of the stuff that was arduous and mundane just do fall to the wayside. And then you get it replaced with something that's going to like move you to the next level. Because I thought about this too. And one of the comments that I had said is, we're kind of thinking about it in the old paradigm. Like we're thinking about what movies were like back in the day. And if you go back to even the silent films, and I think they said this in the video that we'll post into our website, but they were saying when movies didn't have sound and they were black and white, they're like, putting sound on movies is going to absolutely ruin them.
Right.
Did it ruin them? No. They're like, putting color in movies is going to absolutely ruin them.
Yeah.
And so now we're getting to this point where it's just the same kind of argument, is that putting crazy interactive abilities in this is going to ruin them. I'm imagining there's going to be people crafting more intricate experiences, things that are way beyond what we can ever even imagine right now, because they can skip a lot of the mundane stuff. Like, if you didn't have to spend all this time on VFX, now you can make something that's like absolutely amazing and maybe have some crazier interactions and spend a bunch of time on it, and leverage all the AI tools that you have to do something that we just haven't imagined yet.
It's almost like if you can create, if a handful of people could create, the next Captain America movie and have it be that good. Imagine what an entire studio of 100 people with those types of AI tools could do. 100%. It's just going to I think it's just going to push everything up higher. And yes, you will lose those entry-level jobs, but people won't be doing entry-level jobs at big companies. They'll be doing the entry-level stuff themselves as their own projects that they're doing with one or two buddies. And that's how you will cut your teeth in this industry, because I feel like that's even easier to do in entertainment, because if you can make something cool with two people, then that gets attention and that goes out there. And then maybe you can join a larger team of 100 people doing something amazing and crazy with AI. And so you won't need that. Now, do I think that will be the same with entry-level jobs in every position? No, I don't think so, because I think they'll just go away and you won't need anyone to do any of those jobs. So if you want to get higher up in HR or something like that, you're going to have to figure out something else to do to get that kind of experience. But I think in entertainment, when you're talking about video games are already there. Like, me and you could make a video game. It could blow up. It could be on Steam, and then we could get more money and add a couple people and make an even crazier game. And I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen to movies and TVs. Movie and TV is we'll have smaller studios building things, making cool things, and larger studios will just do more innovative stuff that we can't even imagine at this point.
I think we're going to still have the legal implications, like copyright, deep fakes, likeness rights. A lot of the originality pieces are going to still be in question as we start to navigate this. So as much as we're going to push forward on things, I think there's going to be this ebb and flow between, is this right? And is that going to work? I'm really hoping we can slow it down a little bit.
Yeah,
I might be hopeful, not optimistic though, as to how far this goes. And we also have to realize that there is going to be some compute and some other challenges that are going to have to get solved to get us to the point where you can get a full video out that you can watch in real time. Now, there was a company in one of the videos that we're going to post on our website that talked about that. It is absolutely making films as you go. You prompt it and it creates it, and so it's generating it in real time, maybe just a few seconds or a minute or two before it gets to a certain point. It is building the episode, and so there are folks that are working out there to say,
dang, that seems like a cool thing too. It's hooked up to my brain, and it's Ryan doesn't like this, change it up in the next 2 seconds to something that does hit Ryan's brain, and gives him that dopamine hit. It's just constantly adjusting itself to be the most pleasurable thing for Ryan to watch.
It's you're gonna be dopamine drunk and done by the end
and
of these
I won't be able to
things.
be happy about anything because I'll wasted it all on YouTube Shorts brain algorithm.
Closing thoughts then, Ryan, as we kind of end this segment.
My closing thoughts for this entire segment of AI in entertainment is, I feel like in some ways this is going the exact same way that is going in every industry. It's the exact same way. It's just artists, are getting ahead of it a little bit. They have better unions, and there's something about art and entertainment and visuals and stuff that people really do think of as human that they don't think of as human when it comes to writing emails better. And so there's something about it that really grabs people and says, no, humans should have a bigger role in this than they do in sort of other AI products. And in some ways, I'm super glad about that. That is a great, if humanity is going to hold on to anything, I think like art and entertainment, and we didn't include music and things like that into this one, but I feel like absolutely music could be wrapped in to this exact conversation. And so just in the end, I'm glad artists are pushing back, are sort of trying to hold back the tsunami of what AI is and make sure that it stays a tool as long as possible. I guess that's my takeaway.
That's a fantastic take. And I would say that a majority of people are going to just be able to get on the AI bandwagon. I feel like as we start to progress forward, that they're going to just suck up the AI slop. And there's going to be a chunk of people that are just all about
Sucking up AI slop.
And I mean, it's just going to be mindless. And I think we're going to start to zombify a lot of people. I think that in terms of the industry, we're going to start to see things that we won't be able to relate to as anymore because it's going to be so customized. But I also believe that there's going to be this like one bastion of like real human creation that will persist, that people will fight it in some capacity and say like, we need to keep like this AI free, and we're going to create some things in the, you know, old way, maybe even use film or you know, maybe even digital, but we're not going to use AI in that. And so they're going to have somebody that creates that, and that's going to be really special. And people are going to be like, oh my gosh, I got to go see that thing because it's not been generated by AI. But unfortunately, I kind of have the negative sense that we're going to have more subscriptions to be able to watch the things that we want to watch and when we want to watch it, and it be created for us. And I think it is going to put some folks out of some jobs. My hope is that it still will create some jobs, but I don't think the satisfaction is going to be there in terms of what they're doing. Like the folks that I explained where they're setting up the jig and now one person can do it, you know, sometimes it probably felt really good to have all those guys there that had one task that was able to do that one really cool thing that you know was real, that they made that happen. And we're going to lose that as part of humanity.
You're going to lose the camaraderie and probably some of the ideation that came from when you had 5 people setting up the jig, right? Like somebody said, oh man, don't you think, see the sun setting right? What if it was like slightly over this way? And another person says, dang, it'd be cool if like we did one where it was slow and one where it was fast, you know? Like you lose some of that when you just don't have teams of people working together. But could go in a better direction that we can't even imagine, right? So anyway, before we get rabbit holes again, thank you, Adam, for this conversation with this. Like this is one that has been on my mind for a little bit, and I thought it was a very interesting topic, especially because we don't hear as much about it as we do some of these other industries. Thank you.
Absolutely. Our next episode, fully AI. We've already replaced ourselves, where this is the last live episode. No, just kidding.
Sure.
We will be back. But at this point, I appreciate you bringing up the topic. We're still starting to think about the topics for the next 2 weeks. If you have insights for yourself, please join the Discord. Please let us know. We're always open to talk about some of those pieces as we go into the future.
Yeah, definitely.
We are at 10:27.
10:27. Do you want to do what do you want to do, Adam?
I think we're gonna spend some time doing your. Do you want to do some story, right?
Maybe,
let's lay out Ryan's story here.
Yeah. So if you want to hang out with us for the last half hour of this, we were thinking about, we're in September, right? We're a couple weeks into or a week or so into September. And that means that Halloween is coming up. And if you've been a fan of the show and following the show, you know that we talked a little bit about, I do a big Halloween party every year for the kids, my kids and their friends, and everyone comes over and we do a Halloween party, and we, carve pumpkins and, eat candy and scare each other and do things like that. But one of the big things that I do during the Halloween party is I tell a scary story. And usually that ends up being some kind of story that's interactive. There could be, elements of jump scares in it, like real life things. We gave some examples, like I did one, like hid the Bluetooth speaker in the basement and then told a story and had, scary noises come up, and then the kids went downstairs to investigate it, and my wife jumped out with a wig behind them, as part of the story, and sort of scaring kids. And so we're in a new, between last Halloween and this Halloween, we bought a new house. We're in a whole new neighborhood. We have a whole new set of kids. Probably, some classic kids will be coming over, but a whole new set of kids. And what I need is, like, I've been trying to do this for years because it's hard to come up with what these little scenes are, right? And I've sort of played them out, a lot of them, and it would be neat to use AI to try and help me sort of come up with, one, what is the story, and what is sort of the all the accoutrement that makes the story really memorable and scary, right? What is the jump scare? How are we going to do it? I need some new, fresh ideas. And so what I would love to do is, every time sort of a new big AI model comes out, I try this and I say, like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing. And so I haven't done it with ChatGPT 5. And I thought, hey, maybe we could try it, because I definitely need some ideas for this scary story. So we're gonna jump into ChatGPT at this point, and we will just we'll prompt it with some stuff, and we'd love some help in the chat, of like, what could we do? What could we say here to make this? So I don't know, Adam, do you just want to type and all kind of.
So one of the things that I was thinking is let's do some baseline, some foundational work. So recently moved into a new house, so let's, like, get some of the environmental parts,
okay,
so that it can start to develop the story based off of some of that. So if we go directly into the Halloween story, so you're gonna get to see a little bit of Adam's prompt theory
magic
here. So I think what we want to say: recently moved into a new house,
okay,
and we are custom. Oh, somebody's going to want... I don't know. I do not want it anymore. You can do that. We are accustomed to doing a spooky Halloween story.
So in previous times, I had asked it that said it was for children, and it would not even, like, give me scary things. It was like, shouldn't do that to children. Like, come on.
I didn't put anything about any children in this.
Yeah. Okay, good.
We are accustomed to doing a spooky Halloween story to... And you said, what was, like, that has some real scares.
Yeah, so I would say it should take about 10 to 15 minutes to tell. It should have interactive, scary, either like jump scares or moments throughout it that is more than just the story, right? It has, like, some sort of physical component to it.
Okay, so I'm going to say don't put the ages of the children. We're going to say they're all like super non-scarable adults.
Yeah, because here's the problem. So Higley wrote put ages of children, and I've done that before, and it's like, you don't scare 12-year-olds, and I'm like, what? 12-year-olds are the perfect people to scare. So we can't even add that.
I'm going to say the goal is to is the reader, the story reader is going to activate.
Yeah, and I want it to be like story based, like it's me telling a scary story. And I would also say it doesn't have to be a story that ChatGPT comes up with.
Right.
Like, this could be just a short story that some, like, really famous or great, scary story, sort of short story writer has done before. It doesn't need to be whole cloth new.
So I'm going to say that, like, it should be that the scares happen as though the reader didn't plan them.
Yeah.
And they are happening.
And I would also say, like, in the format that we want this, what it's going to try to do is it's going to be like, let me give you the entire storyline all written out. And it's like, we want ideas for things, not full on scripts. I want multiple ideas from this. Like, we're just sort of figuring out kind of the main thrust of it at this point.
Okay, so I'm going to say We want to start with a list of ideas to brainstorm first. I'm going to start with just this and see what we come up with.
Okay.
Because I think it'll be important to... All right, so we got some atmosphere builders, objects and room scares, physical. I like the idea that it's giving you some ideas of like some things that you might be able to do.
Right.
All right, let's think here. It says, okay, we're starting brainstorming a series of spooky story-triggered scare ideas that could be woven into your Halloween story. So it doesn't even go into
It's not even telling me what the story.
I like that.
It's like here's some things you could do.
And the reader seems to accidentally activate. Ooh, that gives me an idea.
Accidentally activating.
Yeah, so I'm a big Evil Dead fan.
Sure.
And one of the things about Evil Dead, and man, here's I already got this is human generated stuff right here.
All Adam needed was 2 bullet points to trigger this.
Is as in Evil Dead, you take out the Necronomicon, and if you read through the Necronomicon, it unlocks.
Oh,
and
that's a good like physical item to have, right? Something.
Right. No, but okay, so imagine
some
this.
book.
You sit down and you're like, "Hey, we're going to be reading this story today," or you're like, "Hey, when we moved into this house,
exactly.
We were renovating the ceiling, and when it fell in, there was this book,
totally,
and it's like these stories,
love that.
And then you get to this point where you're like." You're like, so I wanted to read one of these stories. It said it was scary stories. It said, do not read these stories. But like, we got this. and then you get to this point that you'll be like, we were able to find this inscription. You should not read this out loud.
And it's like you have to like break a seal or something like that.
There you go.
Like inside of it. Love that. Like wax seal.
And so as you open it, and the kids are like, no, don't do it or whatever, and then you would have some weird like scribings where you're like trying to sound it out.
I like that.
So
or like we get everyone to be sounding it out. Like I like the idea of them being like interactive in it. You know, like the very first year we ever did this was when people were doing the thing where you're like touching spaghetti and it's really brains,
right?
Or whatever you say, like the peeled grapes or the eyeballs. And that was one of the best ones that went over, because they were involved. They were involved with it.
Well, like what if, so somehow you read something, and then right as you get to the last thing, what would be neat if you were like, and you try to scare him, and it's like a fake scare.
Oh, sure.
So that they like, you're so cheap about it, and you're like, see, it's a bunch of BS, and then you start to like read so into the story, and then it triggers the first thing to happen.
Right.
I don't know. See, we didn't need no freaking AI. No.
No, but I like the idea of a book, reading something out of it, and also having like the kids try to pronounce it with me or whatever, and then things escalating because of what we're doing and reading from the book, right?
Yes.
Like, so we keep reading things and stuff is happening. Maybe that's noises are happening, right? Or scary things like in previous versions of ChatGPT, they had talked about like having things fall from, which I thought was a cool thing, like somebody could, a plant, right? Like Kathy or you or one of the kids or something like that would know. And then you'd be like, oh, they would like knock over something at the right moment or whatever. Like, I like that idea. Or it's playing off of something. Hey, Disturbed, no problem. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, you had a lot of contribution today.
It was amazing. Thank you.
Podcast,
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Speaking of new houses, we gotta hang out at some point.
Yeah, we gotta check out your new house.
Oh, exactly.
All right, so here's what we're thinking. We have a found book that was in the house, and we're reading through it, and
as we read through it, things get triggered. I feel like that will be a big part of it.
As we read through it, I would say there are special passages that are not in English.
Yeah.
That when read seemingly unlock poltergeist.
Do you have I feel like you have got to have a Necronomicon or whatever.
Necronomicon.
Yeah, there it is. Do you have one?
I have multiple.
I was gonna say.
Do I need to?
They're not just.
I gotta go. Let me go get it.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I feel like I've seen what have I seen at Adam's house? An Xbox 360 with a Book of the Dead on it. I didn't know if you had an actual real book though, version of this. I would say so. Things that we have done in the past. Bluetooth speaker one. I did one where like we got the box. And I was talking about the box, and then I had my arm in the box, and then I like crushed my arm up through the box and started choking myself as if there was a hand in the box. Oh, nice. Okay. Oh man, put the full screen. Nice. That looks good.
Look at this.
You purchase that? Oh man, it's legit too.
It has like actual pages in it. It's like the Necronomicon.
Dang, yeah, we definitely you gotta let me borrow this for the thing because the kids don't know what the Necronomicon is.
There's no way you're taking my pristine Necronomicon.
I thought you had multiple. You said
this is my most legit version of a Necronomicon.
Okay. Oh, it'd be so good though. It'd be such a perfect prop.
You're not supposed to open it. You're not supposed to read it.
Oh, opening is fine. What's it made out of?
Nictu Verada.
Oh God, he's doing it. All right, what did ChatGPT do with your prompt?
All right, I didn't. All right, what did it say? Did you hit it in? Okay, it says, okay. We put in that we read through passages. It says this is a strong concept. Of course it is. Thank you. Oh my God.
Man, I'm feeling really
so
good
about
man.
This.
It normally doesn't say things like that. This must be a really great idea.
I'm so stoked about it. The found book becomes the story vehicle and the trigger for the scares. All right, so the story setup. See, tucked behind a wall or an attic. Oh, man. Having a little scavenger hunt beforehand.
That would be good. Okay. Now we're talking. Like add that, put that in the prompt for the second part. There's some kind of, we need to find the book as a group.
Okay.
Like I don't know what that looks like, right? If they need to find it, if there's like clues around, that could be fun. Like clues that they're finding until we find the book.
Oh, so I'm giving myself chills thinking about this. Like, what if you started your story like, I think I have a real story about this, and you're like, I found this like piece of paper, this map in this house. Yeah. And you create this map, maybe burn it, and then like, and it leads you to the book. Yeah. Yeah, like we're figuring it out together because here's the thing with the storyline, it has to change a lot or you can't you lose kids, right? Like it needs different aspects where you're doing different things because I've tried to do sort of longer stories and you're like you're losing 12-year-olds, So I like the idea of starting it out as a thing where we're all sort of finding something. So then when you actually read the book, that can be short and the scare can be, right. Like not drag it out basically. So what we're saying is we added the twist and it said it's a nice twist. I'm really feeling like, we were nailing this thing. I wouldn't have. I think we should start our own company that does scary 100%. Stories. I mean, I feel like we got this. We're like so special. So now the story isn't just reading the curse book, it's hunting for it. And that makes the buildup more immense. And the reward, the book is also a trap. So they're like the discovery, they find an old hand-drawn map hidden under a floorboard. So you're going to have to figure out where you found it. Yeah. And maybe what you do is you create some cool thing. And I am totally on board with helping you make like crafty things like that. Because that's like, I have my own Necronomicons and things I've built over time. So here's the trick, just to let you know with your map, what you need to do. Okay. All right, you need to get a piece of paper. You need to scrumble it into just a ball. And then you need to take some coffee, and you need to shove this stuff into the coffee and leave it in the coffee for at least 24 to 48 hours. And it will stain it all nasty and have all the crinkles in it. Right. And then when you take it out, lay it out, flatten it out, leave it somewhere to dry. then burn the edges around
Oh,
that and like
nice.
do
I could
some
see
of that and
that.
tear the edges and burn the edges, and you're gonna have an old looking piece of paper.
And there's a store by us called I love this name. It's called Who Gives a Scrap.
Oh God,
And
it's
and
perfect.
they sell like almost like used or scrapbooking or materials like that you would use for sort of crafty type stuff, and they have paper all the time. It's just like weird, handmade papers and things like that. We just get some of that and do all those like treatments to it. I love that idea.
So here's some agent work that's helping
Okay,
us is that
okay.
it looks like a child's drawing. I love that little
okay,
twist to it.
all right.
Maybe put like if you get like a little child's handprint
Well,
on it or something.
Because like you have to sort of gear it toward the kids' ages that are there.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So like if it's like 12 and 16-year-olds, I wouldn't want it to seem like a 5-year-old wrote it or whatever. Like it's like it has to be as if it was like so they can relate to it, right? It seems
100%.
scarier.
And so where's the scariest point in your house or scariest area?
I mean, there's like the garage, right? Or like the furnace room, like that's usually sort of, it's like more bare bones. There's sort of, lights hanging from the ceiling and stuff like that. That's where I think you would probably put it.
You know what you need to do? Okay, I have some other ideas here. This
Okay.
is good. You're going to have to
Yeah.
re-listen
Yeah,
to
yeah,
this.
we'll watch this again.
So you got to throw them off track. So like if you're on the scavenger hunt and you're able to lead them all outside, then that like can give somebody else some time to set something up in a room that you had been in or something, enough time to like,
Right.
set something there. But then you got to give them a false scare where like something drops and you're like, what the hell was that? And then like Kathy comes in like, oh, I'm sorry, I dropped a glass.
Right.
And then like de-escalates it, oh, like you're not even trying to trick them.
Right.
And at that point, and as she comes in, like, no, it was just me, and then something else happens. You're
See,
like,
the only bad thing with that is it takes like lots of practice and lots of what I have found. The less points of failure that you have, like the better, because they will fail, and then you'll be like, oh, now it's ruined, and you've ruined it 5 minutes in, 2 minutes in, as opposed to at least ruining it, when it's scary. Darth Gorokon in the chat says, why not make it a Hunger Games style thing with teams hunting? Well, I like the idea of team, like, like get a person and go, like, I like the idea of almost sort of giving them out a clue to try and find something, and them all finding something and that bringing it together.
ooh.
And then that's what allows us to find the book, right?
Then,
So
then
it's
you
like
read it.
so like their thing is easy to find. So they, it's like, oh, in the backyard next to the something, and then they're like, oh shit, I found it. We could 3D print something, and then it like all comes together into the thing that shows where the book is. Like that would be cool.
There you go.
Okay.
There's one member who can actually use the book. The others have to keep them protected.
I feel like this is like escape room style stuff at this point. That's
So
good.
I like some of these hunts. They're like basement or attic clue,
Yeah.
like an old thing. I don't know where they can get hallways. The mirror clue,
Yeah.
faintly written, only visible with candlelight. Final location leads. Do you have any of these places? in here?
Fireplace. We have 2 fireplaces.
Ooh, man, it's like you just got to get it in the right place. Like if you moved into this house,
Yeah.
like where are things that you just wouldn't 100% thought where it was at. I think the cool thing about the story is if you really started it out, and this is wouldn't take too much practice. You're like, all right, I got something a little creepy that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some like incidents at the house. We've heard some creaks. We've seen some doors open. We've seen some things happen. And as we were doing the work in our remodel, we did find this note. And I thought, what a creepy time to be able to do something with this note than right now.
It's the perfect thing because we've actually been doing that, right? And to find one thing, and you're like, oh, we found one thing, and then that's what leads to the whole scavenger hunt, or that's what leads to the whole thing. Okay, so say we do that. Say we find the book and we're reading things. What happens? What is the payoff? I feel like we don't have yet.
So I think that's it. So I just want to take a quick sidebar really quick because I did one thing. So do you remember I had a friend, his name was Taylor.
Okay.
So one trick that I pulled on him that took over 7 months to actually land
To pay out.
is I got, those little tiny CDs that you could used to get,
Oh,
like you had your normal
half
size.
sides. Yeah.
So I got a half-size CD once. I recorded myself like talking something creepy, and then I flipped it backwards, and then I put it over the course of like it ran up like it was 13 tracks, and on the 13th track it talked me like talking backwards, and it was, of course, I way overproduced and made it this thing. And then I painted the CD, and I hid it at the top of one of his shelves that he puts all his glasses in. And I thought like, oh, he was gonna pull a glass down tomorrow and he's gonna drop the CD. 7 months later, after I forgot about it, he's like, I found this CD. I don't know what it is. Probably some piece of trash. I'm gonna throw it away. And I was like, oh, really? I want to see what this is. And like, it was a good creepy thing. So I'm saying.
So you were there when he found it?
No, he texted me about it after that. So I wasn't even there or any of that. And I was like, no, I think we should listen to it or see what's going on with it.
Yeah, because that seems good because it's like he brought you in as opposed to the opposite way.
It was literally 7 months later, and it was like a freaky thing. And then of course I like days later I was like, that was just me. I was just messing with it. But I was thinking like the reason I bring this up, like that might be even a cool thing too, is like, what if you had like an old CD or something you could record something creepy on? You're like, oh man, I think I have an old CD player,
right?
And you go like get it out, and maybe that's what like says some like weird creepy things,
because that would seem old technology. It would be like if we found a record, you'd be like, oh, let's play it on the thing. Imagine finding a CD somewhere. Love that idea.
So, just because it gives the auditory piece, it's not you saying something.
Right.
And there's something that you could add with some creepiness to it. Like, even when you listen to the old Halloween soundtracks and you hear a woman screaming in the background and some, like, chainsaw, like, it gives you a little bit of chills.
Yeah, totally.
Like, if
there's,
you could do
some kind of interior thing just about you that gets freaked out by that kind of stuff. And because then if you do it with, like, all the lights are down, right, and there's just candles up or things like that, that could be cool.
And then, like you hide the speaker, like you test it, makes it work, but you put it and you're like, oh, we just moved, I remember where that thing is, and you go and you find your little boom box and you undo it and you plug it in. Like, let's do that. And then the little CD is like maybe somebody just talking normally, and then like screaming and crazy,
or like breaking down and things happening in the background and all of that.
And then they're like, that's where the CD comes in and it says, don't go to the fireplace. And we overproduced this. This is great. We didn't need much on ChatGPT on this one.
Exactly.
But good idea.
So then what do you think the payoff is?
Okay.
Like, we need a payoff scare. Because like you could set it all up, you could do everything that you want to do, but if the end up scare at the end is just a sound of someone screaming, like, I feel like it's wimpy. We've done that before. Like, that has been multiple times. Our payoff is a thing happening and all the lights turn off or something. So we need something to pay it off.
Yeah, and so I guess that's the question, is like, what would be something enough that...
I would say that it's got to be, usually what works the best is like someone in costume. So here's the one that worked the best.
Yeah.
There was a noise downstairs. People went to go follow it. And then Kathy came in behind them. Right? So they were like, they thought the scary thing was going to be the noises. And they sort of knew, right? They were like, oh, I bet this is a speaker and and they're going down there with that expectation, but it's still scary, right? It's still making scary little girl creepy noises. But then Kathy coming up behind them with the wig on and making a big noise was like, that was it. That was the killer.
Here's the thing is like, if this is on Halloween though, right?
Yeah.
Because I was going to say like, I won't be able to be there. Like if you and Kathy were in the same room.
Yeah.
So they didn't see that, like, and there was never another third adult or something in there.
Well, but I think say you could show, because it's usually not on Halloween, because we're not going to do it on Halloween, because kids need to go out and trick or treat and do things, right? It's usually like some sort of weekend day around Halloween, before Halloween. So like if Adam came over, that I feel like everyone would be like, right, Adam brought his kids to the Halloween party, whatever. Like that seems totally good. I don't think you should like sit in your car until the time of the thing so that we don't do that. It would just be like, hey, Adam's here and we're hanging out and we're doing things. And then you would be like sort of our inside man that would be like, oh, I didn't even know I was, you're not, people don't think you're in on it, but you obviously are, and you're helping us do things.
Right.
You're the one that jumps in with the pretend chainsaw or whatever at the end.
I saw some good chat things. Story reveals someone was buried in the backyard. You have to go outside and there's someone dressed up in the backyard with a shovel.
Nice. Like our backyard is very, it has a lot of trees in it and things like that. So like there could be something where you're hiding, back there. And then always the simpler, the better, because we did one time with spiders where like I had spiders on the ceiling and then like you pulled the thing and they all rained down on people. And it was just like, it was too complicated and it didn't work. That was one of the failure years, I would say, or the less successful years. So like whatever we decide on, I feel like it's always fun to like spin it out as if it's, some big Hollywood production. But then you're like, all right, if we could narrow it down to like just what is the scariest thing and with the least amount of sort of complexity, that's always better.
Lock them in a room, scream bloody murder, and then just
Exactly.
like have blood come out from under the door. With
You're
them locked in
absolutely,
there-
you're
in
totally like that. That would be great.
there.
The only bad part is like you got to cram all the kids in something, right? You got to get blood all over the floor.
Well, maybe. Oh, so that would be like you go into the room and they think that you're gonna do the scare, Then I slam the door. Then you like choke up some blood and fall on the ground.
Well, I was, one of them that I had thought of before when the kids were smaller, and I was like, this is gonna like cause trauma, But I was like, what if, at some point, so say you have all the, you just have lights on or something like that, and then something happens and all the lights go out, and I would be like, do some kind of like, I would have like fake blood, and I would just do it across my neck, and then just lay there. Right. And then the lights would come back on and they'd be like, holy shit. And then someone would come out from behind them as if they had done that. And now they were getting all of them and do some kind of big noise. I feel like that would be like the double thing of getting it. Anyway.
I think we laid out some good insights tonight. So I didn't even know where this would go and I think you have
It's like fun, creative, storytelling.
So recap, you got some sort of map potentially. You have some sort of book that you read out of that you might find. Found book, map, if you feel like that's the right way to go, or a book.
Yeah, I think it's note, which leads to scavenger hunt. That leads to bringing something together that finds book. Book is read and crazy thing happens. Mm-hmm. Like that's kind of the outline that I have right now. And I feel like we could fill in what those like fun elements are to make it interesting. But I would love to do some 3D printing, because I think like having a thing that comes together as one thing would be like just a fun element.
What you could do too is like, as far as that, because 3D printing, I agree, it could be there, but they could tell like, oh, that's a 3D printed object. Like what if you went to like a
place, like
used
an antique store,
and you got something and you broke it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you had the pieces of the things and they somehow came together.
That's true. That could be
it
could be a fun thing to like think about and look out for over the next month, right?
Heck
when
yeah.
We go to like stores like that.
Well,
thank you for helping me with that. That's great. Could you send me this chat? Oh, well, I guess I could see it on the VOD. But
I will. I always copy the chat, and so we should, because they don't save these chats.
Really?
They're gone
Do
when
you
they're
save
gone.
the chats?
I do.
That's awesome.
Don't forget the thing from Paranormal Activity where there's a photo of one of the house inhabitants as a child in the attic.
Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, that's scary.
I do have some old pictures.
I had a lot of
me.
chills in this conversation because I was like, whoa, this could be creepy.
You got to come up for the show. It's like, invite Mike Azul, come on down for the Halloween party.
Bring the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, we really appreciate you hanging out with us tonight with the Hangout. Another great Hangout with Adam and Ryan. Thanks for the topics. We got a lot more coming in the next couple weeks. 24-hour stream just around the corner in November. So get ready, because we got a we got 24 hours to stay up somehow.
I feel like every year that we do it, I get more and more overly confident. So that's probably like more entertaining for everyone because I just like stop taking naps beforehand. I stop planning it. I'm just like, sure, we did this 2 years in a row. Bam. This year, who cares? I can stay up.
The yawning I do in the absolute.
And I just like punch
oh
at
my
him
God.
every time.
I'm so yawning and tired. All like last year, I was like, I don't know if I could do this. I was like so done at certain points.
You know what the bad part was last year? I drove home last year. I don't think I could do that this year because like driving home and getting to the very end, I was having literal things where I was driving also back to the brand new house, which, you know, it's a new route and stuff. So you can't just sort of do it off of the top of your head. And I remember being at parts of the highway and being like, my tired brain was just like, I have no idea where I am right now. I'm just going to keep following this road until I see something that I recognize, and my brain freaking out and being like, that can't be true. You know this route. You've been here before. You've lived in Colorado Springs. You know this route. Like, but
I tried to say you could sleep
I
on
know,
there
I know you did.
multiple
You
times,
did.
so.
You were the good friend that definitely, and I was like, it's fine. And then 45 minutes into the drive, you're like, maybe it's not so fine.
Not the greatest of ideas. So, but.
So maybe, yeah, exactly. Or like at some point, I'm just like in Wyoming.
Oh God, you're in your Tesla and you fall asleep.
You're like, oh my goodness.
All right. Well, you have a good night, everyone.
Yeah. Good night, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. It was great.
See you next time.
Bye.
Peace.